day, good day. It's another good day, beautiful day in on the East Coast in the USA, in Pennsylvania, to be exact. Where we have today is another edition of the closing argument. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, and today is another edition of the closing argument. It's good to be back, and we've got lots of things to talk about. But we have a special guest tonight coming on. A special guest tonight. Most of our audience will be surprised because we did not publicize the guest, but the guest will be on tonight, special guest, and so we hope there will be an interesting show tonight. Let's make it happen. A lot of things happening, so let's get it going. So it's good to be back, and as we start the show, let me see. Yes. So let me just welcome Thompson B. Balls from Sydney, Australia. Nudi Loibenson from ELW. Thompson, heard about some stabbing that took place in one of the malls in Australia. But hope you guys are safe up there. And Australia is not, they have very strict gun laws, very strict laws of gun and knife in that country. One of the is very strict in one of the countries that's very strict with gun laws. But I'm glad the person was killed, and on thoughts and prayers to all those who got injured. I see Harry Stalker from Detroit, Michigan, Emmanuel Ma from Boston, Massachusetts, Alaska Pay from India. Wow. Emmanuel Ma, watching from Boston, Massachusetts. Thompson Balls from Sydney, Australia. Christian Roberts, I'm here watching live. But guys, we're gonna get it going. The guys are coming. Before the guys come in, we can just start the chit chat. Brian Brown from Des Moines, Iowa. Christian Roberts, okay. What do you guys? Let's see everybody watching, and but guys, interested, good to be back. As I said, a lot of things happening. I will start talking already. The issue about the drugs in our country. There's a big fight between the LDA, Liberian Drug Enforcement Boss, Connor Kurman, his deputy, Hussein Fadika. We also we got some information today. It's unconfirmed, but we're still trying to find out that the Minister of State and the President's Chief of Staff tender his asked for his sent his resignation, but the president has reported that the president rejected it. We're still trying to find out, but we know the Minister of State is not in the country right now. Ambassador Brisbane is out of the country. And also we're told that our men from the EPS went to Freedom FM today while a live show was going on, and I heard that they want to go rescue one of their colleagues who was in studio speaking a lot of stuff, and apparently EPS weren't happy with that, so they said they were going to go get him, but then some of his friends went in and rescued him. But we're still trying to put all these pieces together. As you all know, the spring meeting is presently taking place in Washington, D.C. The Liberian government delegation is already there. The Minister of Finance, the Minister of Public Works, the governor, the two deputy governors of the central bank, and other government officials are all in Washington, D.C. at the Springs meeting that takes place annually in Washington, D.C. Okay, somebody said, Thompson is telling me about the guy in Australia. He killed 6 people, including a 9-month-old baby. Oh my God. Sad news, man. I'll see Justin Nyenwolo watching from Drexel, PA. Yes. It's a sad news, but a lot of things happening in our country. I also see the Honorable George Cronisayon Wenda, former Minister of Education of Liberia, is watching live. one of the most brilliant Liberians I've come across. I think the next time we have an election, that man, I will ask anybody that's supporting him, ask them to invite that man to be the strategist for them. Because he understands Liberian politics so well. That's the Honorable George Sion Werner, former Minister of Education of Liberia. Now he's out of Liberian politics now. He has a very good gig in Washington, D.C. there, and he's just taking it easy now and watching things unfold in Liberia. But that's somebody you guys should to keep an eye on. He's someone who is a very important asset for our country. A former teacher. He taught a lot of students, a lot of people today in government today were his former students. That's the Honorable George Sion Werner, former Education Minister of Liberia. Alice York is watching. Jefferson Weah. Bookman's son. Big. Like last night I want to work in government big. I want elected job, people. Elected jobs are the best. Okay, elected job, nobody can fire you. One of the people after 6 or 9 years, they can fire you. But you work in government, somebody will accuse you. If the president get mad, he fire you anytime. I beg you. I'm going to go work in government. What did you just say? You say the pleasure of the president. I see the chairman of the advisory committee of the Opposition Liberty Party, the Honorable Benjamin Sanvee, is watching too. I know you'll soon be joining us. That's the youngest cabinet member ever in the president in Liberia, Ben Sanvee. Yes, that boy, he gave former President Taylor tough time to Taylor made him the first youth advisor. That time he was just a senior student in Cathedral in 1998. I see Michael Godwin Johnson watching from Painesville, Richard Tyler, Jefferson G. Weah, Jeremiah Coulet, Mississippi Street watching from Mississippi Street, Greenville, Sando County. Oh, my God. I see Yiman Tamba following from Lagos, Nigeria. Oh, that's my old place though. I was there for some time though, during our days back in the days. About Unilag, Jala, Washington. Jala, Washington, yeah. Also watching. But guys, good to be back, and let us make this the interesting day. As I told you, we have a special guest for you guys tonight who will be appearing. We'll be talking about the War and Economic Crimes Court, talking about a lot of other issues in the country, across section of trending issues. That person will be sharing their own perspectives on trending national issues and so forth. But in the meantime, we await the other panelists to join us so we can make this show the interesting show. So in the meantime, let me keep on welcoming the guests. Yes, Harris again, Thompson B. Boston, Australia, Newly Laura Benson from ELW, Harris Tucker, Detroit, Michigan, Emmanuel Ma from Boston, Massachusetts, Alaska Pay from India, Christian Roberts, Bryant Brown from Des Moines, Iowa, Michael Godwin Johnson from Painesville, Justin Niwali from Drexel Hill, PA. I also see, I see Yima Tamba, I see Jefferson Weah, Bookman's son, see Emmanuel K. Bucklon, Juj Wonware from Johnsonville. Yeah, I got my house there, man. I'm building my house there, Juj. Maybe we'll be neighbors one soon. Yomantro Kranga from Minnesota, James A. Kuyate Jr. watching from Duporo Hamon Fee. Wow, that's my old era there. Oh my God, before the war. American man Lucas is a Freeman. Wow. Jefferson G. Weah watching from where I was born. Habel Firestone. Habel Garden Firestone. Oh wow. Eleanor Davis from Atlanta. But Arthur, Ansu, Henry, when you guys come, one of you guys come on the set with me, man. I'll ask you guys some questions. You guys join me. Henry Jala. Yeah. Ansu, you muted, man.
Are you getting me now? You getting me?
Yeah. Well, I want you to put Lai picture up, man. I want to send congratulations to Lai.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations to Lai Capability. He's now the new general manager of Truth FM. As you all know,
the CEO.
He's the CEO, the chief executive officer of Truth FM, and now also Renaissance Communication. His father, the Honorable Musa Hassan Belete, have officially turned over the affairs of Truth FM to him. So he's now the new CEO for Truth FM. I want to congratulate him. A very young man who, again, as I said, I don't know what happened, but that's somebody who would have been in the House of Representatives today. It would have been the first time in the history of our country to have father and son both in the House. I still trying to find out how he didn't. What happened that he didn't win? Because when I was in Liberia, he was leading. I mean, I went in his district, and I found out that everybody was telling me he was the next representative for that district. But again, that election, as I continue to say, the election of 2023 is having a lot of question marks for that election. A lot of things happen, but he have not given up. He continued to do the things he said he would do for his people. He's a humanitarian, a businessman, a young, promising man with a vibrant future, a vision for his people and his community. Continue to thrive, and he remained calm. He accepted the result and moved on with his life, but he's not giving up, I'm sure, and I'm confident that Lai will one day be in the legislature of Liberia to help transform that first branch of government. It's a very smart young man which I believe has a lot to offer our country if given the opportunity. And I believe the people of his district will find it fit to again repose their confidence in him, and he will. Somebody is telling me he'll be the next representative because I'm confident of that too. Yes, this is the Honorable Lai Capability. He is, congratulate him. He is the new CEO and general manager of True FM, Renaissance Communication. He's the man in charge of the network. His father have given everything over to him to avoid conflict of interest, leading by example. So now, for anything regarding True FM, Renaissance Communication, you can reach out to the Honorable Lai Capability.
The official ceremony is on the 1st of May.
Okay, so
May official ceremony, the ceremony.
Officially taking over from the CEO of this network on May 1st. We should wish Lai all the best, and we look forward to working with him in the years ahead. I want to say congratulations to Lai, and someone I know you guys will meet in the near future. But I want to suggest it again. We are so proud of him and look forward to him taking over the realm of this unique network. And Sue, what's happening in Liberia? What's the news there? What's the latest?
Well, I heard you when you are talking on the accident issue on the Monrovia and Pecan Highway on that trailer. That's one. And the next thing that sparked again was that the case involving the American missionary. I think you guys heard that story on an American missionary. Yeah, so that was the next thing that sparkled on the internet, and the ruling came out Again, and people again are front on the Liberia justice system, especially with the way how the case went, with all the evidence, the Bible were involved, who rescued Jessica the girl, and with everything surrounding that case. But I'm not a lawyer now. They went through the entire case, and I think that he was set free, and so we have raised another eyebrow on Liberia justice system. What is happening? A man who attempted killing someone, and being the person being rescued by another person who gave the full information of the story of what happened to save Jessica life, only to for the justice system to save her today, that the missionary has been set free. So it was on what basis? So it is another training topic now in Liberia. For the accident cases on Tomalin, Liberians have complained over and over and about these heavy duty vehicles, especially these trailer continuums, the trucks, the sand, the crash rat trucks, the other stuff on the highway using the daytime. They have complained over and over. It's a regular stuff. People keep losing their family member, the loved ones. They keep losing good people from accidents, on the highway. Even in time, you have the trucks there with the level of the current road project. The road project that is currently ongoing. The guys stay speeding on the roads with the road project still on. You understand? A few weeks ago, a lady again lost her life from a truck accident. Yesterday again, it was it again. People again lost a family member, including a baby, was into that car. The trailer lost control, ran into a commercial vehicle again, crashing people out. So it is something in which they have complained over and over to the police about putting on some system. There might be some a system put in place in terms of regulating the truck drivers. We shouldn't allow them to use the daytime. Let's just forget about the motorcycle, the cyclists. I followed the police IG there with another statement that cyclists will be using Central Time, applying the main street of Monrovia. Let's just forget about this cyclists over and over and try to focus on some of the main things that happen on the highway too. You have people keep losing a family member. Yesterday was a terrible one, and we won it yesterday. The two sad, so we say that may their soul rest in peace. The family members, those that lost the loved one, condolences out to them. We call on the police again. We call on the road and safety team. We call on the traffic division of Liberia National Police to try to put all these systems in place so we can avoid this accident and keep losing good people. So far, the town was just quiet yesterday when that accident news came out, and some people that were involved, very close to some of us. Yes, a friend of mine who always attended some of our events, I never knew that he was also part of that accident and he lost his life too.
Wow. Well, my thoughts and prayers to the victims of the accident, and we pray that we'll find some remedy to this traffic issue and these accidents. That some of the accidents are just unnecessary. But I found out that the police director is they are being putting some measures in place for the traffic situation. But Lofa Julius, welcome. But again, we pray that things will get better. We can only hope and pray. But we have a new government in power, and as it says, they are still getting their feet wet. But again, when you're in opposition, you should be government in waiting. And as soon as you have opportunity to come in, you take over right away. So again, we only wish and pray that things will get better. But that's what we are. Lofa, but
Yeah.
again, Lofa coming. Yeah, the issue you raised about that missionary being found not guilty. I know he was in jail. I didn't follow the case again because Liberia, as soon as things happened the first time, it for a couple of days, and then and then when another news happened, we forget about it. Only today I heard that they found him not guilty. Well, there are a lot of stories, a lot of parts to the story. So I don't know. We got to find out what's the. Because some people say they the mother. But play the video. Play the video. Let's see what year. That year from the lady, please. Play the video first. But look how you can come in while they play the video.
You got to add some sound to that if you got sound. Is that the actual lady that is complaining, or there's no sound, guys?
That's the girl. That's the girl.
Who's that lady? That his wife?
That's the Jessica girl.
Jessica. Who is just? You know, honestly, you're helping though. This story.
Exactly. That's the reason why I asked that question.
That's his wife, the Liberian girl.
The Liberian girl.
That's the girl who intend. Yeah.
That the girl you say you're telling me to kill?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
The girl. And yeah, so as you said, Tomalin, on the first time when it happened, Liberia now, when these things happen the very first time, they can just blow the air, and at the end of it, after some time, these kind of cases, just go down. And I think these are some of the things Representative Yeke Kodeba were really pressing on when it comes to those women are always out there advocating when it comes to protesting, doing peaceful march. The women rights. These are the type of cases I think Mr. Kodeba was talking about. Looking at this type of case they're having, there was nobody out there for Jessica. No, women are out there to put up placard just say for Jessica. It was nothing, and the whole thing just went quiet until today. We just got information that Lucas, he was now found guilty and will be set free. So who knows what happened, what's went wrong, how the entire process went on. So as we said, we need to do some follow-up on it because it was today in which he was put out. So I know as of tomorrow there'll be a lot of developing stories to come out from the code. So we'll wait on tomorrow, but that's the Jessica girl.
So they said the man was found not guilty, right?
Exactly so.
So what's the story about? They said that the wife and the church, under the church and the mother was settled by the settled. How true is that?
No, it's not true because if it was true, you want to see her out there at the court, trying to put on some clarity, trying to prove her, to prove her side, right? So if it was true, definitely we're going to see, maybe we're going to get like Jessica who be home. But since that incident happened, he been, they been after a year and there, running after the entire process, and she really been running after this case, seeking justice, since the entire process started. So as I said, that's some of the things the district lawmaker all request on. What are those women when it comes to a women group with these type of major cases? Jessica, she was rescued by a motorbike boy. This entire story, she was rescued by a bike boy after she and her husband on somewhere in Caldwell, parked the car, got off the car indeed, and this motorbike man here passing through and saw this lady in the missionary hand to be rescued, and they took him to the police station. He explained the story. What he saw this man here definitely with the knife to her throat, and he got to understand that if he the Bible wasn't on the scene at that time, this time a different thing we are talking, especially during the past government of George Weah. There were a lot of bodies people found, so different areas. So there are so many different stories coming on the government of an innocent bodies being found around town. So that could have been another story again on that government. And then he was sent to prison to go through investigation. Today we hear that he's not from guilty.
Well, Lofa,
Yeah, great to be back here again. Ansu, how are you doing? You know, I want to start my contribution to today's conversation on this issue about Jessica. It's saddened to hear that Liberians don't even have protections in their own country. This case would have been the perpetrator or the alleged perpetrator versus the government. A lot of time when we speak to these things, some of us, it appears as though we are targeting everybody, um, but that is not the case. When you're not a victim, people tend not to pay attention to these little things. Today is Jessica, and people are justifying the decision on the part of the court. Some are saying because of conflicting testimonies that were provided, and I was trying to kind of listen in on. I think there was a statement made on OKFM or something of that nature, and that's what I was trying to listen to so I can get the actual information. But here's the reality: how in the world could it be that we had an eyewitness? Right, there was a young man who allegedly saved the life of this young woman. Thank God she did not die. She also gave her side of the story. The narrative is out there. This individual, anywhere else in the world, I'm not even going to include the United States. Anywhere else in the world, you and I know this, Tomalin, including Gris. It would be one of the most difficult case to even have to go through. I can't tell you that it would have been done in no time. As as crucial as this case was, to see that we are now at a verdict where this guy is free and he can walk away, or Caucasian will come to Liberia and take the life of a Liberian and get away with it. Because, as often said, you don't have a government. Government is an institution that protects lives and properties. The judiciary system, those who supposed to protect you, they're supposed to be in your interest. They're supposed to protect lives and property. Liberians are not protected. I didn't expect anything to come out of this entire case. First of all, this young woman that actually is a victim here, she's one of many who will end up prey to these kind of behaviors, because those who are supposed to stand in their interest just don't care. I bet you, had this been the daughter of any of your lawbreakers whom you refer to as lawmakers, we probably won't be hearing this today. I bet you, had that been the son of Joseph Boykai, you probably won't be hearing this today. But you know what? The lives of innocent Liberians don't matter to these lawmakers, these political scavengers. It's not about them. It's not about their family. So they will all sit and pretend and make it seem like, okay, you know what? Let the system play it out. Let the law play it out. The law is the law. Yes, until it comes to your door. Did you see what happened recently? Fanati Kofa, when a house burned. Didn't you see President Boyka going there to visit? When other people's homes were on fire, did you see him visiting any of their homes? That's the life that we have to adjust to. These are the kind of mentality that our people have to deal with. But they actually sold themselves for these kind of things. This is what you settle for if you can even stand up for yourselves. That young woman will have to dream about this for the rest of her life. And now she will have to realize that no government is in her interest, because any government, had there been any government in her interest, there would have been much more concern about justice for her. Who actually defended her? Was there a public defendant? Excuse me, a public defender? Who was that person? We want to know. How did all of this come? How did all of this come about? We want to know what was the entire process. Unfortunately, we will never know this because this woman interest is nowhere. Okay, and the issue with the accident, again is sad that years after years we will hear of major accidents on highways and other places in Liberia. Back to my continuous blame, and one would say it's the blame game for me. I agree, but until this government and others can actually put the people's interest first, you will not see any development. You will not see protections of people's lives via whether it is on the road or other places. These things will not happen until we can start to value the people that we are supposed to be representing. These things will not happen. I don't know how often do they have sheriffs on the road, just making sure that people are not speeding. Do we even have sheriffs? Probably not. How often do we have traffic police officers working? You're not even paying the police officers how it is supposed to even work. When your government officials, your lawbreakers are getting, I mean, a chunk of salary for they and their kids, the police officers are not getting paid. The nurses and doctors are not getting paid. How can they work? I don't understand. But like I say, I'm just sorry that this young woman had to go through what she's going through. I now hope that we will see the women advocates. I hope that we will see them taken to the streets. I hope that we will see them taken to the Capitol building, and hoping that they will stop or shut down every major government activities until they can bring this case back and be heard. But I don't think justice was served for that young woman.
Mm.
Okay, well, welcome, Grace. Again, like I said, I the last time I heard about this case was when this incident occurred. But I wanted to this morning before we woke up and we heard that there was a verdict in the case. Uh, but again, there are always should always be mindful that there are three branches of government. As we all know, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. The executive will do the arrest of any of criminal, and they prepare the case and try to prosecute the case with the judicial branch. And then, but every case in Liberia, if you don't have a lawyer, there's a public defender for you. They have public defenders yeah, they have. So again, we'll try to find out the outcome of this case and so forth, so we can get the bottom of it. But I see that our guest is in the background, but Grace will give Grace time to leave for only 1 minute, and then we can bring the guest in.
So when me you gonna give 1 minute when how they call he said you got talk for almost 10
No,
minutes.
but you're talking a little about the guest. I thought the guest wasn't here, but the guest were there.
Okay, so Mr. Guest, please wait a little bit. Let me just give my input on this case. Okay, so I'm happy to be here. First of all, I will say greetings to you guys and all the people that's watching, the people that's listening in Liberia. I want to say thank you for listening. Concerning the Rachel Lucas case, it was a sad thing today, but then it's familiar. That's what I would say. It was sad, but it's familiar. What did we expect? Princess Cooper died just like that in Liberia. All the signs were pointing to one, group of people, and the way she went to the building, and all the signs were pointing that even people who did not do investigation in the policing and everything would know that something went wrong. But we saw again with the government, nothing was done. No proper investigation and everything. Now coming to Lucas Richards, Richard Lucas, I think that's his name, the missionary. So we as an advocacy group here, what we did was we tried to tap into the missionary organizations here in America. I think Tomalin, I texted you some information that time when it happened, and they got back to us. And the way the case was going on, we were just in the back watching, because most time in the Liberian cases, people just rush into things and start to do things. And I'm sorry that the people in Liberia don't really contact the right people that will really help them. Because in the case of that girl, Jessica, we could have done a great help for her if we were given the chance. The way things were going on in Liberia, it just looks so sad how people are so sentimental when it comes to these things. And then later on, after 3 or 4 days, they withdraw themselves because everybody looking to be noticed. when it comes to cases like that. But if the people are seeking the right groups to contact and the right people to engage with, things will be a whole different thing. I know it has nothing to do with the justice system, the way everything went on with the justice system. But at least if Jessica had the right people to engage and start to talk with, there were certain things that she would have given and certain information that she wouldn't have given before she went to court. And even the missionary organization here that we contacted were very sad of this situation. They were even looking to speak to Jessica and even try to see how best they could help her, because they gave us all the information concerning how missionaries live here and go to Africa. They even informed us that there was a almost similar case that he did something also in Nigeria. So all those things were going to be brought forth. But because they were not reaching the right body, and this is what happened in the court system. The court system always let the Liberian put down. The criminal court be. Today, it was another disappointment, but it was not, it's familiar. We are not surprised. We knew that maybe Jessica was not going to get justice. You see all the signs, everything showing, but then they say she gave conflicting information. I don't understand which conflicting information when this girl was not even in the know of what was really going on until everything was said and done before she really called herself and said, oh, but maybe I was really going to get killed or something like that. So you see where she was coming from, but there was an eyewitness who witnessed the case and also brought forth the testimony, but it still did not take that into consideration because, again, it comes to Liberian justice system. Again, she's a Black woman in her own country, and you know, in the country, the system that we have, they will take the other people over you, and it always been like that when it comes to Liberians. And they just say for us watching from here, because we know very well that if that case had happened here in America, and it was a white woman with a Black man doing that kind of stuff to her, it was not going to go easy. It was not going to go. They were going to make sure they go to the nitty-gritty of the case and investigate it properly. Even if the actual if the girl in the case who is the victim, if she was given conflicting information because of her confusion, they were still going to justify the case in the right way. But you know, the justice is not like fraud. We don't expect nothing better out of them. I don't know why is it that I never followed the case in court, and I'm sure it was in public. But you always know that the girl parents were already told to take money in the first place, and they have refused from the beginning. So therefore, they were not going to be on their side anyway. So I feel sorry for Jessica. My thoughts and prayers go out to her family on behalf of the Liberian Women Advocacy Network International. And that's all I have to say. Concerning the roads, quickly, no traffic sign, no speed limit. Police are not on that road on a regular basis. The people are speeding. I drove to Buchanan before in 2018. I drove my car to Buchanan from Monrovia, and I know what I saw there. You have to be very careful when you're driving because none of those things, when it comes to road, you know, how to drive on the road in a standard country or in a organized, let's say, a society. We don't have that in Liberia. So that's the reason why people will always have accidents and there will be, you know, those kind of things happening. But we hope that this new government will change things now, saying they have a lot of people who say they know they can go and do better because they're supposed to have at least a police prison or people on that road. But nothing there, nothing. You can just go anywhere you want to go, speed anyhow you want to speed. And I mean, no police to stop you. So that it is what it is.
Well, we will when the guests leave, our guests leave, we'll talk more about that Lucas case and other stuff, other things. But let us welcome Dr. Peabody, and also now we now welcome our guest, Councillor James Yimpan Verdier Jr. He's the former chairperson of the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission, LCC. Councillor Verdier is on record one of those who I know was indicted of sitting lawmaker. Just to set an example. I think we heard the case of Senator Tiaji. He was a senator when Councillor Verdier Commission went after him. He was found guilty of, I think, corruption in Sweden or Sam County. And he also, the same commission, also a former MPA boss and all. So he's a no-nonsense legal mind and someone who we have a lot of respect for. But we invited him to share some thoughts about the War Economic Crimes Code, his perspectives about it. And we perhaps other legal issues that have been trending that you lost a perspective of. So let's welcome Councillor Verdia to the closing argument.
Well, thank you, Tomalin, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to come and chat and discuss whatever trending issues there are. And we'll say hi to the people out there watching and listening to this podcast. Bring you greetings. And they wish all of you in Liberia, especially, a very good evening. So I look forward to our discussion. Thank you very much.
Yes, we are live on True FM, and True FM is being broadcast throughout the 15 counties in Liberia who are watching from all over the country, and Hard FM too, and also on YouTube. So we are live on all over the country. And so, guys, let's get started. I will do it differently. I will let Grace, you start with the first round of questioning, and then go to Peabody, Lofa, and then we'll move on. So, Grace.
Yeah, hi, Councillor Verdia. I would like to welcome you again to the closing argument. It's nice to have you here. We send greetings out to you and also your family. I also recognize that every time I see you on, that you always talk about your beautiful wife. I hope she's doing great. And I would also like to send greetings to her tonight and welcome on the show.
Thank you very much for those kind comments. You're very kind woman. I appreciate it. It's good to meet you. I don't really know you, but I look forward to our interactions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, my first question would be, I was reading something today on social media, and I know most time people would say that, social media, some of the information there, they are wrong, and some of them can be true. Well, we just have to follow it and make sure we do other research behind it. I don't know, but I was happy when I heard you were coming here today, because I read it today on social media where it says that the situation, there's a situation in Liberia concerning assets. It said Verdia was the only person to request an assets declaration form of 5 former government officials in 2019, including former President Weah. So now they're saying that Weah assets was given to the public and it was leaked, and you are being accused of the person who leaked his assets because they said that you requested the documentation in 2019. They were accusing somebody else, Alexander Zul, was supposed to be the one who leaked it, but then later on they said they investigated and it was not the case. Now they're accusing you of leaking the personal assets declaration. The part that confused me, and I want you to really explain to us tonight, is that when the president or government official declare the assets, they don't publish it, and maybe somebody get a hold of it. Is it fair for them to even just leak it to the public or give it to the public for everybody to see, since it is supposed to be a public thing? Why are they not accusing you of being the one who leaked that information?
Thank you for this question. It's not surprising that we're opening with this question, because this issue seems to be turning in Monrovia right now. But let me take some time to abreast you of the situation and the circumstances leading to this background. In 2018, when the Weah administration took over, the Code of Conduct and the Liberia Anti-Corruption Act at the time required that public officials will actually declare the asset before taking office or immediately after they take office. So we launched a campaign to make sure that all public officials from the 3 branches of government will actually declare their assets. This was a very hard road. It was difficult to go through. So as things started to unfold, officials started to declare their assets. You will note that President Weah and some of the officials declared the asset like way in July or August of 2018. That's like 6-7 months after they had been in office and all of that. So while we were on this campaign, You also know that we had an MOU with GAC because the Code of Conduct also required public officials on the executive branch of government to declare their assets with GAC. GAC had no storage and it didn't work with asset declaration. NSCC, by its act, is the institution that was established and clothed with the authority to deal with asset declaration. So NSCC and GAC signed a memorandum of understanding for GAC to automatically, immediately pass on the asset declaration when declared to them to NSCC because they had no reservoir for that, no storage of that. So when President Weah and others were announced to have declared their assets to GAC, and officials in LSCC at the time informed me as the executive chairperson that President Weah and others had declared their assets, I, in my official capacity as executive chairperson, requested those declarations so that I also would verify that they had declared. Now, as executive chairperson of the LSCC, I am the chief, you are the chief spokesperson, you are the CEO, the chief executive officer. All communications according to the LSCC Act, all communication to the LSCC going in and coming out passes through the executive chairperson office. So as leader of an institution who will speak to whether or not people have declared official, especially the president and vice president and other top officials have declared their assets, how are you going to speak to that if you don't verify that they actually, declare their assets? So when those assets were made, asset declaration were made available to LSCC, I requested them. And so the head of the asset declaration unit asked me to do it officially, and that's what happened. So I did that officially through the LSCC email, communication, and those declarations were provided to me as a chairperson. I had to verify them that they were declared, and for me to be able to meet the press or say something and say these persons have declared the asset. So that's what happened. But when I left LSCC, I didn't leave with LSCC documents. I left whatever documents were there. I didn't even leave with my asset declaration except with my copy. So I left the LSCC. I think it's just under those circumstances, it's just preposterous, for anybody anywhere to begin to point finger at me, that I was responsible for leaking it. I think they're hiding something. Something at LSCC they're hiding. They probably know who leaked those things out, because if I had access to those declarations, why didn't I release them since I left LSCC in 2019? I departed LSCC in 2019. The code of conduct, requires LSCC law requires that public officials who work with LSCC are under oath not to declare anything until after 3 years. I've been away from LSCC for more than 6 years. Why didn't I? And then why is it just what's with other access the declaration of the other officials? So I find it disingenuous that people, whatever position they hold, will begin to point finger to me, as a way of hiding their negligence and then ineptitude, to say that I declare. I leaked those things. And besides that, for the head of LSCC to declare, to request asset declaration official, it's not a leak. I can say why they say they discover a leak when the head of the unit send the document to the chairperson. That's not a leak. That is within the official confines and purview of the authority, of the people who acted. So the head of the asset declaration passed on certain information, documentation to me when I requested it as in my position as chairperson of the LSCC. I had a right to do so. I had to make sure those documents were available. But like I said, I find it preposterous and very ingenious on the part of those who are making claims and pointing to me. I am quite aware of the laws, and I may not agree with certain law, but as an advocate of the law, I respect the law. What is the law is what I do.
Yeah, and it wasn't only Weah they accused you about. They said that you leak President Weah, Vice President Joel Howard Taylor, Nathaniel McGay, Samuel Twer, and Jefferson Kochi. But you already answered the question. I don't think I wanted you to just say something about it, because that's the news that's trending in Liberia also here in America concerning what you did. But my second question to you is that concerning the Gloria Mususka case, I follow you on other network, when the case came about, and you have a strong conviction that Gloria Mususka was not the one that murdered her daughter. And there were accusations about other people you think were involved in everything. Now today, Gloria Mususka is serving behind bars because the court found her guilty that she did murder her daughter, or she was she if she did not murder her, it means that she knew about the murder because she was part of it or something like that. But she's guilty with a few of her family members, and they are in prison right now. I want to know how you feel concerning that case, whether you are convicted. Personally, I will tell you that I'm still waiting to see Joseph Boakai actually his court system readjust that case and go back to court and see what they can find, because I did not trust the last people that were over the case and when she was found guilty. But I want to know from you, do you think that Gloria Mususka is guilty? And how is your belief moving forward about the liberal justice system? Whereas every time these kind of cases go to court, I mean, the cases are not, the public presumption of the case is so different. And then when you come back, it's a whole another turnaround when the verdict is given to the victims or the people who are supposed to be in the accused of the whole entire incident that happening in the country. How do you feel about that?
Well,
Interestingly,
Councilor, let me just maybe people always mix it up. They are the brothers. There are two brothers. This is Councilor and Jerome is different. So
I see.
Yeah. So I don't want to clarify. This is Councilor James.
Oh, so this is James' brother.
Yes.
Okay, and then his brother is Jerome. So that's Jerome.
That's okay. You're not.
Well, you already look alike though. I mean, your brothers now. So yeah, but yeah, I would choose your question for you.
No, you're okay. I can respond to the question. You're okay because I also made some comments, public comments on the case involving Gloria Mususka. The only thing is that I didn't make a lot of comments. It was Jerome who made those revelations and those comments. But I made some public comments on other public platforms, the African Media Rising, all of that regarding the case. So it's okay. You're not alone. There are a lot of people who makes us every now and then. So you're not alone. Don't be embarrassed. This happened over and over and again. Okay, but if you refer to the Gloria Mususka's case, I definitely cannot discuss this matter without my legal cap on my head, because by being a lawyer, it places me in a position to discuss and see the case from a different landscape, okay, from different lenses. So I would not say I am disappointed or I'm shocked, but I think when people don't go to court, when they are not privy to the transaction and the pieces of evidence that are presented in court, the general public tends to disagree and be baffled when verdicts are reached. But I also have my own disagreement regarding the whole process, the whole case trial, because I don't believe, as a lawyer, I don't believe that any justice system will hold 4 different persons for murder when there was only one murder weapon. You can't argue and convince me that those 4 persons were actually holding the knife if it happened to pierce the wound that led to the fatal, to the passing of Shalom Musu. So there should have been some here for conspiracy, some here for connivance, at different level, manslaughter for planning and conniving, and somebody here for murder. But to hold all of them responsible for murder is what creates a difficult situation. Besides that, I am not sure that a murder weapon was actually identified and presented in court. I'm not sure about that. And when that happens, that is supposed to operate in favor of the defendant when there's an issue of identifying a murder weapon. What was this murder weapon that was used? Did the police get hold of it? So some of the evidence are basically based on presumption. Based on the investigation, I think the police were saying that they could not determine whether there was break-in and entry, whether somebody broke in and entered. So they think that all of the actors who were responsible for that were people who were already in the house. But mind you, they will also report that somebody had tried to break in and into the house before the night before. So the circumstances under which the verdict was reached are really queer. And I think at the level of the Supreme Court, all of those things will come into examination. I followed the case, but from a distance. But I managed to listen to the police presentation and one or two persons, and also provided some advice. But that case remained very, very mysterious in terms of how quickly the verdict was reached. And I think there's a need for critical examination of the pieces of evidence that were presented in court and under what condition did the juror reach the verdict. Because the judge also has the legal authority to squash the verdict, for the verdict not matching, not being consonant with the evidence that presented to trial. You can squash that and order a new trial. Besides that, there were also evidence and report that the juror were tampered with by the prosecution, and instead of excluding the juror, or disbanding the jury, the judge just only excluded one juror and then decided to continue with the case. All the jurors have been contaminated already, so that was a basis to just squash the jury and order a new trial, So there are a lot of irregularities that took place that the Supreme Court will need to look at, before actually confirming or remanding the case back for retrial.
Before I go, I just want to ask you and Jerome, who other than a friend?
What do you think?
I see Junior to your knee, so you were the first one that want to get you Junior, or your part.
Precisely.
So what the name?
Jerome is immediately next to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Let me welcome Keff Hassan to the platform. But we'll go with Lofa with your question to the counselor.
I thought you said after Grace.
I told you said Dr. Peabody. You said Grace, Dr. Peabody, and then Lofa.
I'm sorry, man. But go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Counselor Verdier, good to see you. And how's my sister doing?
I'm good. Your sister continues to be in good hands, my brother.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Good to see you, Doc. And just thank you I see the kids all playing basketball, doing wonderful. And, but it's good to see you here, Counselor. My question here to you is, why is it that people declare the asset but can't publish it? What is the law behind that? I mean, because I thought people make declaration for other people to see. But why is it that, especially those who are paving the way for transparency and all of that, will want to declare asset that cannot be published?
I'll tell you this, and that's exactly one of the reasons why assets are declared, so that not only agencies of government will know what you declare, but the public in whose interest you serve will know. And so lawmakers also had their reason for not putting in the law that assets should be automatically made available. So I think at some point in time, Liberia was constrained to adopt or to pass these different laws based on what the international community, donor partners, the kind of pressure they were exerting on the government. You need to move this forward. You need to move to this point. So many times people wanted to pass laws just so they'll be in compliance with expectation and so that loans and grants can be granted. You understand? And so the executive mansion pressurizes the legislature, say, look, we're not going to make progress if we don't have this set of laws, So while they're doing those laws, they put in some, stranglehold to restrict, because the major thing of asset declaration is to make sure that the public is aware, because you're talking about public interest institution, to make sure that they're aware. But the thing is that the law establishing the different institutions, when they put in there that you cannot publish an asset declaration of a declaree until the court grants you authority to do so, even though you're there and you disagree, but you have to abide by the law. So the law restricts LSCC, the law on which I work as head of LSCC, restricted LSCC from publishing asset declaration unless it was instructed by the court. You have to get a court order. And so it required that anybody, any citizen or anybody interested in public works and in politics should petition the court for these assets to be declared. And once the court instructs LCC to go and declare them, they will do that. But I think that law was changed under the 2021 Act. I think it was changed because I think they say LCC on its own can determine whether or not this person, determine the interest and the request and publish that. But here's the thing. There are some people, for me, President Salih and other people, when we declare our assets, we publish them because we didn't need a law to tell us to publish them. We had that much confidence and we trusted the system. We wanted to demonstrate integrity and clean hands. So when I declare my assets, I publish them. I remember very well too when President Salih declared her assets to me, she published her assets. So I think public officials, in spite of the law, should demonstrate this level of commitment to integrity by voluntarily publishing their asset declaration when they do it. There's nothing preventing them from doing that. I think they should do that. But when you declare your asset, it should be. Now, here's the thing. The asset should be declared for scrutiny. And so you're making it available to government institutions during the time of scrutiny or during investigation, all of that. But how does the public scrutinize your asset declaration and your public interest person if they don't have access to it? If the institution keeping them are denied, the opportunity to publish them. So it seems to be, a little strange. And I think our government needs to look at that. And the lawmakers need to look at that and make sure that whoever declares the asset can be published. It becomes a public document. Now we have laws on the book. The Freedom of Information Act says the asset declaration should be made available on request or on demand. That's what the Freedom of Information Act provides. But notwithstanding, the Code of Conduct prohibits the institution receiving those declarations for declaring them. So I had a situation with a couple of journalists when I was at LCC, and I told them, look, these are two conflicting laws. And I am going to go by the laws that gave me the authority. The FOI didn't give me authority to collect asset declaration. It was the Code of Conduct. So what I advise you to do, go to court and request it. And people are not trying the court. That's another thing about Liberia. We do not try the laws. If the law says go to court and request, go to the court and request and see where the court will deny it, on what basis the court will deny it. If the lower court denies that, you go to the Supreme Court. That is how we get new laws as well. But Liberians are not so progressive. They don't want to test the laws, But I think law like that is a stranglehold and it should be removed. Asset declaration should be made public.
Well said, Councillor. Let me ask you. You were there as the head of the LCC. There were a lot of stuff that went on with corruption, and you guys recommended, I believe, a lot of people to be tried and stuff like that. Why is it that most of those recommendations that you made was not implemented?
I would not be the person to answer that question. I think the person to whom we made a recommendation would be better fit to answer those questions. But it was a good recommendation and some would answer. Look, like I said before, I think on this show or another show, the 2021 law, LCC laws are much stronger than the 2008 LCC law. They gave LCC a lot more power than we had before. And I think I spent more than 3 or 4 years trying to convince the executive marshal and the president of Liberia to make certain changes in the law, just to make sure that we had enough tools to do what we wanted to do. But even though those tools we didn't get some of those tools, but we still used the existing law to do what we did. And I would say this, that at the time of LCC and in Liberia, there are a lot of things that we could have done, but we also did a lot more than people expected, than I expected. I was a bit disappointed that I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to do, but given the time and the constraints that we had, we were still able to make some progress. Our country is so engulfed in this issue of corruption that you experience it from every level, every strata of our society. It's not just public officials, even the private citizens themselves are very corrupt. So it's tough. It's a cancer. It's tough. It's very, very tough to fight. But we have to keep pressing on. We have to be consistent. We have to be persistent, and we have to insist on setting benchmarks and that people do certain things.
One last question, Counselor. This tenure position. I will be interested to hear your view on this tenure position.
Interesting. There are a lot of things surrounding this tenure thing. The Constitution of Liberia also, provides an opportunity for few institutions, especially the General Auditing Commission and the National Election Commission. And the reason behind the tenure position is to make sure that public officials will be able to do what they are expected to do by law without any let and hindrance, without fear of being dismissed. They will be able to stand up to what the law wants them to do. Basically, that's what this tenure position is. It gives you the guarantee that you will remain employed and will be capacitated to do what you got to do, without being afraid of being reprimanded or being dismissed. That's the whole idea behind the tenure position. And that is why you look at critical institutions to give tenure to. So today, I don't believe that all of the institutions in Liberia should actually have should be clothed and graced with positions of tenure. I don't think so. I can name a couple of institutions that I really believe should have tenure: the General Auditing Commission, the National Election Commission, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. There be few, but I also know that other institutions like LTA, whatever regulatory agency, Liberia Fisheries, National Fisheries, why do these institutions need tenure? They don't need tenure. So we should actually provide tenure to those very critical institutions. That's what it should be, so that they're able to, somebody under our law who also is in the executive branch works for the president. The justice minister is not one official in government who is appointed by the president. You all know what he works at the will and pleasure of the president, but the president by law cannot dismiss the justice minister because he disagrees with him on the issue of law. He cannot dismiss him. That's what the justice minister is there. So that is another position where you got to have a lot of security, because that's what you're there for. So I think we need to work out this kind of thing. Here's my thing on this. You didn't ask that directly, but let me say this. With member of the executive branch arguing that these tenure positions are limiting the ability of the president to carry out his or her constitutional duties, it baffles me and it makes me wonder, because those laws, those acts that were passed establishing this institution did not go into law if they were not signed by the president. So the executive branch of government also agreed to the circumstances under which those institutions were established, giving them tenure. So the executive branch was part of the decision making and bringing those laws into play. So they cannot at this time now come and argue that our power is being limited because these positions. You should not have signed the law. And when I'm talking about the executive branch, I'm talking about the person who was president and continues the executive branch. You should not have signed the law if you knew that your powers were limited. You signed those laws. So I think that is moot. But what should be done right now is that it's true that there's some people who have breached the requirement of their tenure position, and they should be taken to tax because of that. It can be removed. The executive also can petition, ask the legislature to review all of those institutions with tenure and see how they can amend them and remove tenure from some of them. I would not recommend that all of the institutions, like they try to do under the WIA administration, we also advise. You cannot remove tenure from all of these positions because they're necessary. But we need to streamline those institutions and look at them individually, because each institution has an act peculiar to its establishment. Do not use a one size can fit all. Look at them individually and make some recommendation and actually amend the laws creating this tenure position. I think at the end of the day, especially under the WIA administration, people establish tenure positions just to protect other people, just to protect positions.
Lofa.
Councillor Verdier, welcome to the closing argument. Great to be on here with you today. First of all, let me start off by commending you for the statement made in response to Dr. Peabody's question, when you alluded to the fact that it is only a declaration when it is made public. When you spoke of asset declaration, declaring one asset, I mean, I think the intent is to make it available to the general public, not to simply declare and then have it hidden. I think that kind of defeats the purpose of that law. But I just wanted to get into this, understanding you as an enforcer of the law and serving in that capacity as the chairperson. Um, did you all declare your assets as well? And did you publish your asset declaration? Just to start off with that, and I'll go into detail. Did you, members of the LCC, did you all declare your assets, or it was it specific people within that institution that were mandated to declare their assets?
Let me say thank you, Lofa. It's good to see you here, and thanks for the question, especially having just met you quite recently. Uh, as it relates to me, I think that question is moot because I already told you I declared my asset.
Well,
I,
I mean, I was speaking in general, like.
I did. I declared my asset, and when I was leaving, I did my asset as well. But it was a requirement for the commissioners when I was there. All of the commissioners declared the asset. I could not compare all commissioners to publish the asset because the law did not provide for that. But what we did was that all commissioners and directors declared their asset. So LSCC was pretty good on asset declaration. I don't know what happened after because in the 2008 law, it requires that asset declaration should be made every 3 years. So in fact, the entire Weir administration was in violation of the code of conduct for the 6 years that they spent in power because some of them never declared their asset, and there was some few of them, including President Weir, who declared their asset only once. Okay, so it came after 3 years, you were supposed to declare again, so and they didn't do that, but those are the requirements of the law. So while we as handlers of that law at LCC, we make sure that we declare our asset after 3 years, and for me, I publish my asset declaration every time I declare.
Okay, and I just want, just for the sake of clarity for our listening audience, can you state for us a stipulated time frame for asset declaration as for everybody, not just the LACC, but I'm speaking in general, such as some of our lawmakers? What stipulated time frame is stated in the code of conduct for which folks are to have their assets declaration made?
The code of conduct requires
Mhm.
that before taking office, you should declare your asset. Before taking office,
Before you take office.
before assuming the office, you should declare your assets. And so people found that difficult to do, and we're not doing that. So what we did at LACC was to declare a particular date or cut-off period where assets will be declared. But the law requires that before assuming office, your assets must be declared. And so when we recommended to the Senate, that before you grant confirmation hearing to any official, the assets should be declared, and you should have a copy of the assets before you grant any confirmation hearing. That eases the problem. But again, the Senate will do their own thing when people make recommendations.
Finally,
So it means that Bwaka was in violation. The president Bwaka, he did not declare his asset before he took office. So I just wanted to clear that.
I'm referring to any official who took office and were confirmed, and they should have declared the asset even before confirmation. But even after confirmation, before you go to, they have all of these big programs where they say turn over, and take over. The asset should be declared before that turnover takes place.
Okay, and finally here, so I can have somebody else pose a question to you. Understanding your job requirement at LACC, you were provided information, and in order to work adequately, you needed to conduct some form of verification because you needed to be certain as to whether the information provided you were authentic. All right, and you were able to validate those information. What mechanism did you have put in place to enable you validate those information that were provided to you in the asset declaration? Was there any at all? And if there was one, what was it?
Lofa, that's a very good question, and that is something we struggle with a whole lot. We, even though the law was there and said people should declare their assets, they were not enabling legislation, enabling law to enforce asset verification. You have to go around with people who are not willing to show where the assets were, people who declare assets outside of Liberia, in the United States, and other places for verification purposes. We'll have to travel or we'll have to get in touch with banks and all of that. Those are the things we consider when we put together a piece of document that we refer to it as asset verification mechanism or something. But to get that document approved by the executive mansion and other thing, it took us almost 11 months to get that document approved. We went back and forth, but we needed that kind of instrument because the LACC on its own could not pass laws to do anything. The legislature is the law-making body. So before you go and start asking people to do this and do this with their property, you have to have some kind of enabling legislation or an executive action coming from the office of the president to do that. So we put together a piece of document that was supposed to facilitate asset verification. As a matter of fact, and I'm giving specific reference, when we wrote the president at the time, President Weah, letting him know that we're going to commence asset verification, President Weah appointed the current speaker, Funati Kofa, as his lawyer to make his property available. So Funati Kofa was his lawyer, and we're commencing asset verification, and we wanted to commence it with the president of Liberia. So that document is there that will facilitate asset verification, because that is the crux of the asset declaration. It's verifying what has been declared, and that is very important. But it requires a lot of resources, and it requires procedures that those who are doing the verification are going to follow, so that it is not seen as witch hunting, that it will be consistent with everybody whose asset is going to be verified. So we did that, but time was not on our side. We didn't get to enforcing it at all until I left in February of 2019.
Thank you, Councilor Verdier. And just to kind of summarize, Amar Kone and others are also in violation of the law because they did not declare their assets prior to extending to their position. Thanks for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Keff Hassan.
Hey, James, how are you, my brother?
Keff is showing a lot of familiarity here. I'm doing well, Keff. It's good to see you.
Yeah, my brother. Let me ask you this. Martin took over from you, right?
Who?
Martin took over from you, right?
No, I don't know. I tell you what to Charles Gibson. He was the officer in charge. That's what I know.
Okay. When you turn it over, what's the procedure in turning over? The person who taken from you actually know who declared the assets. What's the procedure? You guys actually sit down, explain, and say this person declared the assets. What's the procedure? How you guys?
I think that's too much detail. I didn't go into that. What I did was to pass on information, a document on the status of the LACC when I was leaving. Pass on a document. That document will tell you the amount of assets that LACC had, the amount of cases that LACC had investigated, how many officials or how many personnel you have at LACC, what the payroll, how much you're living in the LACC account. That kind of document will pass on to a predecessor, but not to sit down and discuss individual cases or person who declare assets. No, it will tell you how many persons declare assets in the legislature, in the judicial, and in the executive branch.
And their names, right?
Yeah,
and their names. So the head of LACC will know who declared the assets, right?
At any time, I can't fathom. I just can't fathom a scenario where the head of LACC is not aware that the president of Liberia declared his asset. I can't fathom a scenario.
Thank you.
I can't fathom a scenario like that.
Thank you. Because the reason I'm asking this question, Councillor Martin said, Judge Weah did not declare his assets. When they asked him, in the lower house, he said that he was not aware.
Unfortunately, I think that was very disingenuous, because I can confirm that there was a one-time declaration by Mr. Weah declared through the GSC. GSC sent it to us, and during my administration, the records were digitized. That would make it, they were not just kept in a bunch of files, that they were digitized. So you didn't even have to go through the files. You can go through the digital record and ask them to ask whoever is responsible to send those records to you. That's how I got them. I think the head of the asset declaration, they didn't bring a big photo to me and said, these are declarations. He emailed them to me. Okay. So they're digitized, they're there. NSCC has hard copies and have electronic copies of asset declaration.
So we can safely say he lied under oath. Okay.
You can give it whatever description, but I'm saying to you, I find it very difficult to believe, that anybody will be head of institution and will not confirm that the president of the republic actually declared the asset.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're not saying, but I would say he lied under oath. Okay. Let me ask you this. Somebody brought to my attention that maybe you spoke about it before I came, that you actually leaked the Judge Weah asset report to another network. Is any truth to that?
For the sake of those who are just coming, I would say this again, that if anybody who knows me will definitely answer in the negative. I am a legal advocate. I may not agree with the law, but I support the law and I defend the law. I, with the level of integrity that I know I have and professionalism, will never do a thing like that. Besides that, how do I leak something that I do not have access to? When I left the NSCC, I left all NSCC property. That included all communication on NSCC. I left. I don't have access to anybody's declaration. So why would I be leaking it? But to describe, this is what I said, but to describe my request to the asset declaration officer to provide me a set of declarations that have been made through GAC, to describe that as a leakage, I think is really absurd. It's foolish on the part of anybody. I'm head of the institution and I can request, declaration from people who have been announced to have made that declaration. I speak for the organization. I'm the spokesperson, I'm the CEO. So to be able to speak on this issue, I have to verify for myself that these declarations were made, especially when they were not made directly to NSCC, they were made to GAC. GAC forwarded the documents to us, and they were reported to me that these declarations have been made. So I requested those declarations, particularly so that I personally will verify them, because I had to speak to the press, I had to speak to everybody about it. So I requested them so that I would verify that they were actually declared. And up to today, speaking, I can tell you that I did verify that those officials declared the asset in 2018. They declared the asset.
Okay,
I did not leak them out.
I can say this: you're a very decent man. That I can say. We may not agree on things, but I know you're a decent man. But they say it was on OKFM today on Julius J. So I think you should contact Julius J and make that clear, because I think it's all around on OK.
Are you saying your platform is not big enough to carry this clarification?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that because of the time factor, other people might, hear it differently. That's not what I'm saying. Time factor. I go on Julius J program also too. I go on different program, so that's what I'm saying. But and clarifying here is okay also. But I think for me, I go on other platform too, so I don't think it's
okay. Keff, so I will commission you to make sure that happens.
But anyway, Mr. Moderator, you can continue.
Ellis Chuchu Jones, Welcome. You have a question?
All right, thank you guys. Thanks to everyone for having me in again. James, how are you?
I'm
Good to
doing
see
okay.
you. I
It's
don't
good to
know if
see
you
you too.
remember, but I remember you from '89 when you were a basketball player in Liberia, living I think on 9th Street, and you were a very progressive young man. And so and I work a lot with your brother, in terms of advocacy. So thank you for being here today. Um,
Thank you.
so I
Thank you.
have few questions. And first of all, how long did you serve as the chairman of the LDCC? Just for the record.
November 2013 to February 2019.
Okay. So, all right. So, during that time, how would you assess your performance in terms of fighting corruption in Liberia, in terms of cases you won? And my follow up to that question is Liberia is ranked as one of the most corrupt countries in the world. I think 100 and something in terms of corruption from the Transparency International. Um, what is your after former CEO of the anti-corruption, the guy who's supposed to be fighting corruption in Liberia? How do you feel about your work and your colleagues' work that Liberia is still one of the most corrupt countries in the world, despite setting up an independent anti-graft establishment for which the early administration boasts so much. So how do you personally feel that in terms of your own accomplishment, did you do the country justice with people, put in jail, or were they at least prosecuted? And that's my first question to you.
Thank you, Alex. That's a very tough question. But I'll say this: I know I did. I tried along with my colleagues to do a lot, and we did do a lot. But I believe that we did not do enough. There's much more that we could have done in terms of investigating and actually prosecuting people. Prosecution in the sense of in Liberia saying that people should go to jail. The people were prosecuted. And as a lawyer, I would tell you that the ends of justice can be met, not necessarily with people ending behind bars. But the end of justice is to declare somebody innocent and declare somebody guilty. So many times when somebody is innocent, it doesn't mean the end of justice has not been met. But our society is so plagued with the act of corruption that it's become so chronic. And I think we're not going to move further if people do not see people sent to jail deliberately, for acts of corruption. People need to. So we have one or two instances where we were able to find some people guilty. The head of the National Drug Service at the time was found guilty for corruption with drugs, and we convicted him and he went to jail. There were other people who provided restitution. We had a case with LTA where officials took money to do certain things and they didn't do it. They restituted. Take, for example, David Cote, who was a very good friend of the president. David Cote received some money from LTA and didn't do the job. We went after him. David Cote was able to restitute money. There's some of my friends as well, Madison Topa. It's still LTA team. Took some money. We went after them, went to court, and they were able to restitute. We went after Milton Tiaje, who was senator at the time. When he was superintendent, he took up $900,000, signed a law that the Minister of Finance did not sign, the Minister of Justice did not sign, and he could not account for some of those money. We went after him. We had a successful trial. He was found guilty, and then he was asked to restitute. So he restituted $50,000. That money put back in the government revenue before to avoid going to jail, as he was going to go to jail. 5 days before that period, he was able to waste the money and pay them. So there are other things, and there's some other low-hanging fruits. We went after the Aminata and some guy with the Ministry of Commerce, for the Chinese grant thing. And Aminata was able to pay back the money for community development. They paid back some of those money, So we had some areas where we were successful, and some other areas where our actions were symptomatic. They were symbolic, so people would know. Like LCC arresting a city representative in the bank while he was receiving money that I assumed to be bribery money. We arrested that representative, and took him. And then we got a call from the speaker and said, this man is under my wing. And we told him, no, this man is not protected by you. We did some of those things. But there's much more that we could have done if the system was so aligned, meaning the executive branch, the judiciary, the legislature were in line with fighting corruption. Unfortunately for Liberia, we're not in line. We had a situation where we took people to court, and the judge sitting on the case asked us in court, why you brought this man for trial? This man is not corrupt, this man being happy. The judge, I'm telling you, the judge.
Wow.
We complained, that judge told the Chief Justice, told the Supreme Court, and nothing happened to that judge. So we have to be in tune, every branch of government. Corruption is so ingrained in Liberia. And my brother, I'm telling you that for us who have been devoted our life to fighting, to ensuring justice, social justice, and democracy, it's painful when we get to this stage and see that our hands are tied and not much we can do. The issue of bribery and all of these things are taking place. But I can say that I walked away from NFCC knowing that I could have done much more if I had a level of cooperation, from my colleagues and other people, and the resources to do that. But also, in the back of my mind, I sat and said, something, if I had not done this, we would have been in a different place. So we did what we could at the time, but we could have done far more better.
Well, thank you. You've been very candid, and I very much respect that, because I think you could have done way more better. Like you said, you had the prosecutorial powers. You did arrest some low-hanging fruits, but when it came to the big people, including people like Amara Kane, where Transparency International accusing of bribery, there are records to that fact. In terms of the black oil,
we didn't get to some of those cases. Time also worked against us, because within those cases where we whenever there's an issue of criminal conduct, you got to be meticulous. You got to take your time, because it's worse when you take a case to court and the case is dismissed because of lack of evidence. So you got to investigate. You got to make sure your pieces of evidence are so credible, that you're going to win. If there is 50 or more chances that you're going to win, then you want to go to court. But if there's a doubt, because our criminal law says when there is an iota of doubt, that doubt should operate in favor of the defendant. So once so you got to make sure you have enough, that when we took the former MPA brought to court, we made sure that we had all the documents before we decided to go to court, and that was almost overwhelming. But I agree, there are some people we didn't get to because the evidence we're looking for we didn't get at the time. I will tell you this, that public officials, they do a lot to hide evidence. In financial crimes, it's so difficult to get those evidence. And most of the time we're talking about with financial crime. People look, it's one thing for somebody to come on the radio and say, this man did this, he was corrupt. It's another thing to get the evidence to prosecute that man. If you don't get the evidence, you're gonna waste government money for nothing and go to court and don't get a guilty verdict.
Because Councilor Verder, I respectfully don't buy that, because every prosecutor in the world, or every anti-corruption in the world, the law is clear that the person has to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. So it's no different from Liberia, that if there's one iota of innocence, the person is free. But the point I'm making here is, everybody in Liberia knows the country is very corrupt, public corruption. I'm not talking about where the person moral standing, but public corruption, where people take money from government, embezzlement, which is the next question I want to ask you. What's your view on embezzlement as it reflects to corruption in Liberia? Because a lot of times it's not theft. People just take the money and allocate it to them. In the case of our legislator and our lawmakers, including the president. I know in the United States, for instance, even where the president uses the food, they have to pay for it. So in the case of Liberia, if the president spent $200,000 on entertainment, I think it's the anti-corruption has the power to investigate. The anti-corruption also, I think, has the ability to go to the banks and subpoena documents for any public official the private bank account. And so I think you guys have a lot of power, and we just don't see the Liberian people don't see the function. I mean, we don't see anyone in the most corrupt country, any major significant, like you said. Yes, thanks for the ones that you prosecuted, but I think the country is, the people are very disappointed, in terms of the public enemy number one. Everyone speaks of it. Everyone says they're fighting it, and it's your job, the anti-corruption. If no other agency in Liberia, you know, uh, is responsible for fighting corruption as much as the anti-corruption. You guys are well funded. You guys are well qualified. You should be non-political, and here should roll. We want to see your anti-corruption that really let the kids go to court and they'll lose, but let us see high-profile cases. Let us see people document things. So, I mean, my final question to you is the asset recovery queen, current Joseph Walker asset recovery. I have condemned it. I think it's foolish. I think it's redundant. I don't think they're doing anything that the anti-corruption, should not be doing. And Councillor Martin should know better. I'm not a legal scholar, but reading the mandate of the anti-corruption, you guys have all the instruments, including the prosecutorial powers. So what's your view on that asset recovery team with a bunch of people who, some of them are not even lawyers, they are not financial, crime analysts and what have you? I have condemned it, and I want to know it publicly. Do you think it's just a waste of money, or you think we should support that?
You made some very good comments regarding expectation of the Anti-Corruption Commission. To a large extent, I agree. There are a lot more things we could have done, but in many cases, I just want you to know that the current LCC law of 2021 is quite different from the LCC law of 2008. There was a fast improvement in terms of powers granted the LCC in 2021. That when I was head of LCC from 2013 to 2019 February, I didn't have. So for example, we will conduct investigation, and we had to pass that investigative report over to the Ministry of Justice. And the Ministry of Justice will choose to sit on it or to act on it. But they had the prerogative to hold that report for 3 months, 90 days. After that 90 days, if the Ministry of Justice did not act on it, then LCC assumes the responsibility to act. And this is one of the places where we actually suffered, because by the time we submit our report, the dozens of reports on corruption and people who we think should be charged, we send it to the Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice receives a report. In no time, all of those that we were pointing finger to, accusing in this report, they will be informed and they were leaving the country. They were not available for us when we finally took the document back from Ministry of Justice after 3 months. They were not available. Yes, another case. We prosecuted Councillor Mona Swain, remember the former police director. When I got to LCC, she was there, and there was a case involving uniform, the 480,000. We prosecuted her successfully. But up to the time of prosecution, we went to court, found her guilty, and she took a plea. Do you know how long it took the Supreme Court to hear that case? Mona was running around while her case was at the Supreme Court. Almost 4 years. I was on my whole entire tenure for the Supreme Court to actually pass on that case. So, excuse me, when the Supreme Court finally called for hearing, we had a hearing. It took the Supreme Court another 11 months or more to come down with a judgment. So, I was saying this to you to say that everybody should be in alignment. Most institutions, because one institution cannot fight corruption in Liberia. We can. NCC does not have these police officers where they go and just arrest people. They didn't have the authority to just investigate and then initiate prosecution right away. No, we couldn't do that. Even though we're looking at people who we think should be prosecuted, they said them because the report is on Ministry of Justice. So there were a lot of constraints. But I totally agree that the institution still has underperformed. Even during my administration, there's much more we could have done. If we had the authority, if we had the support, we had the cooperation, then much more we could have done. I totally agree with that. Now, regarding the asset recovery team, if we are looking at reducing the size of government and making it very efficient and effective, I would argue against creating an asset recovery team outside of the LSCC. I think there's a unit in LSCC that needs to be empowered, and resources that can go to that institution, empower the institution, and so that they can do the asset recovery. I would not have established another big asset recovery thing. I think is a misapplication of government resources by doing that. So I personally disagree with that. Whatever the reason is for this asset recovery thing, but I would have gone to the LSCC, used that institution, empower them since they already exist and have the authority to do that, infuse resources into them, equip that team, and let them do the asset recovery.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor, before I ask my war crime code question, let me just ask this question. If you had this law now, this present law, that amendment to that law, if you had it during your tenure, what specific thing you would have done?
As aggressive and high-headed, I would be arresting people right after the investigation. Right after we get investigative report, we'll be arresting people, put them in there and indict them and go to court directly. Because one of the things that are going to make people believe that this government, or any government for that matter, wants to fight corruption is to make sure that people are arrested and put in jail. They have laws, and a certain amount of money that's involved. But you also asked a question too about embezzlement. Embezzlement is an act of corruption. It's also listed under the corruption law. Embezzlement, okay, that's corruption. Yeah, so somebody can be prosecuted for that. The only thing is that the president of Liberia cannot be investigated and prosecuted for any crime while the president is president. So the Constitution immunes and absorbs the president from investigation and prosecution while the person is sitting as president. So the current LSCC law gives LSCC the power to arrest people. It gives them power to prosecute people immediately. You don't have to wait for anybody. That's a lot of authority to start acting on. If I was there, if I was at LSCC at the time, and with that law, we're going to be requesting the Ministry of Justice to give us a special police unit that will be assigned to LSCC, and we'll go around and arrest people and put them in jail while we indict them. Because to fight corruption also has to be symbolic. You may not be doing it, but people must be seen. You must be seen, perceived as fighting them. And Liberian people, they don't get satisfied until somebody gets arrested. Once you arrest somebody and they see handcuffs on them, then they know something is being done. So that was also a way, or would be a way, to actually fight corruption, to know that somebody is getting arrested because he or she stole money or misdirected public funds and all of that. You can do that. I think the NCC has a lot of power to act.
Okay. We'll talk the bigger issue now is the War Economic Crimes Code. Now, I want you to give your perspective on it, because you are the former, many people don't know, you're the former executive director of the Cali Justice and Peace Commission, JPC. You're an advocate, you're a strong advocate for the rule of law and for crimes against humanity and so forth. But with this proposed War Economic Crimes Code, some people don't understand. People say that they have been granted amnesty already. They are not going to punish. They cannot be punished for it. But how do you think the whole setup will be? Give us some understanding about this whole War Economic Crimes Code. Like how you envision it to be when it is all said and done.
But the whole idea behind a War Crimes Code is to make sure that people who did wrong during any conflict, be it political, civil, or military conflict, they can be punished, because there are rules governing conflict, armed conflict, civil conflict. There are rules, humanitarian laws, that govern how people are treated, how people engage in combat, and all of that. So during armed conflict, other people take advantage of the disruption of law and order. We call this one, we say, break down law and order, no constitution in place. And then they take that to perpetrate crime against innocent people, unarmed persons, So there are laws governing all of those things. So people suffer abuses, people are aggrieved, hurt, people are killed, they're maimed, they're deprived of family members. A War Crime Code addresses those kind of issues in a way where it restores not necessarily gave them all the back, but it restores them in terms of healing, in terms of confirmation, addressing deniability, in terms of reparation, and all of that. It restores our community when people can confront those who were responsible, were perpetrators of those wrong. If they can come back and say, this is the reason on which I acted, or these are the reasons that led me to do this, but I'm sorry, forgive me. And people want to have some closure to those things. And then you use that also to make a statement to your community, to your country, that these are acts, these egregious acts of injustice, killing, and maiming are just unacceptable to a civilized society. And anybody who engages in this act will be punished. This is what's going to happen to this person. So you need to make that kind of statement so that people will be able to move on. That's why you want a war crimes code. People always they put in the war crime, economic crime code together. Whichever way. I think economic crime code will help to accelerate the issue of cases of corruption. And people who are engaging in all forms of economic crime, white collar crime. It will accelerate those cases because if you establish a special code just to do that, because in Liberia, the cases in Liberia, the criminal code are so bulky. There's a huge docket to get rid of those things because the reason why we want economic crime code is that we want some expedited form of justice so that people will know that we want to punish people for corruption because corruption is very chronic in Liberia. If we don't punish people, we don't see people behind bars, we can make all of arguments. Liberian people want to see people going to jail specifically for corruption. So I think our economic crime code will accelerate, the trial and all of that. So you want to do that. Now for war crime, I heard you say people think Liberia is a signatory to all the major international human rights documents, including the ICC, including international humanitarian law, everything. Liberia is a signatory to that. ICC statute, under the statute, no country has that authority. Every member state has the authority to grant amnesty for what we refer to as the egregious crime. There are three major crimes: crimes against humanity, torture, and war crime. You can't grant anybody amnesty for that. They have to be a judge. Okay, those laws, Liberia signed those laws, and those laws were domesticated in Liberia. The Senate, actually domesticated those laws, so they are part of the Liberian law. Liberian legal minds and other people can go to those laws and use them in Liberia. Okay, so under the receptive statute, you go to those laws because we signed those laws and those laws were domesticated. Nobody's supposed to be granted amnesty for those egregious crimes that they committed. You can employ a system that brings you people to justice, and if that system, that process, that venue, sets them free, yes, but it must be heard, it must be tried. And so that's where Liberia is at a crossroad, creating a way. I personally, I don't believe that we needed to wait for a war crime to prosecute people for a war crime. I believe our courts can prosecute people for war crimes. Because again, like I said, we sign all those major documents, so we have the authority as a country to prosecute them through our criminal courts. We can do that. It only takes the courage of the government. It takes the courage of the executive marshal to do that. People call it willpower or political will. Whatever they call it, it takes the courage to do that. We don't necessarily need to wait for the war crime, but say it's on a massive basis, and they're already goodwill on the part of our international friends. Establishing a war crime committee will be good. The thing about using our regular codes is that you prolong the process, because if you try somebody through our criminal code for war crime, they're going to take a plea to the Supreme Court. You understand? It can extend it. If you're establishing a war crimes code, that is an extraordinary code. It should not be subjected to our constitutional rule to go to the Supreme Court. The judgment from the war crime code should be final. In that way, you are able to resolve cases easily and then deal with it instead of allowing the war crime code to people from the war crime code to take a plea to the Supreme Court. You make it messy again. That's why it's called an extraordinary code. It should not be subjected to our constitutional justice system where you take a plea to go to the Supreme Court.
Thank you so much. My last one I go to Grace. So because I know I talked to I talked to a senator. He told me that my son, the legislature granted me amnesty. That's what we'll go to court. The whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, I will grant amnesty. All of us will get amnesty. So I just clarify. But the last question is, so the judges, who will be the judges of this court? Who will be formed how would they set it up? Who will be the judges for this court? Liberian judges or foreign judges?
I can't say. That's a good question, but I can't say because I'm not directly involved if there is a planning. I'm not directly involved. What I would suggest is that Liberian lawyers be trained, to do that, or you bring in international lawyers who are already experienced as consultants to the Liberian lawyers, to the whole war crime prosecution thing. They are consulted and they can provide, or the legislature passes an act granting provisional authority to non-Liberian lawyers to practice law in Liberia for a particular time. You can make it for 2 years, 3 years, for the purpose of the war crime code. And you can bring international lawyers to do that because currently our laws prevent non-Liberian from practicing law in the country. So all of these things can be done through legislation. And again, it has to do with the willpower. If these people are convinced and convicted that they want to do this, they can expedite all of these things and make sure they happen.
Thank you, Grace.
Because I don't. When you just spoke about the persecution of with the war crimes in our regular court system, it just had me giggling because people like Prince Johnson and Bon Nigga will swear say they do nothing in our court and they will let them go free. So thank God. Prince Johnson will say he was not dead. Bon Nigga will say he disappeared and nothing will happen later on. You will see them working in society. So we thank God that at least the World Economic Crimes Court will be established outside of the judicial system. And we're looking forward to it. But I wanted to ask you, as an advocate, I'm going to change my direction now. As an advocate or legal advocate, what is your take on the acquittal that just happened? If you were following that Jessica case with the Richard Lucas, I think his name is Richard Lucas, the missionary that attempted to murder her. We all saw it on camera. Thank God for social media and cameras, that people will not be hiding behind the crime. So with all the information that was given to the public, and we saw today that this man, let me just call the judge name, they call him Nelson Chine. He let Lucas go free today and said that he was found guilty of nothing. So I just wanted to hear your take. If you actually were following the case, what do you think about what happened today when the Liberian people were disappointed once more, from the justice system concerning a Liberian? The way we always look at outsider in our own country. I just want to know your take on it. I really would need you to really elaborate a little more, so we can understand. Because sometimes, I don't care what you learn and what you know. The way the people do the justice systems in Liberia, the way they carry on cases, especially when it comes to rape and domestic violence, and all those things. It's just like that we will never win that for some reason. So, can you say something about this case as a legal advocate?
I think we all are aware that there's a big cloud of suspicion that looms over our justice system. It's been accused of corruption. It's been accused of incompetence. It's been accused of lack of facilities and several other things. And I'm not doubting some of those things. A lot of them. But a lot of people from distance, the lay people in the public, aren't aware of what the laws are, what the practices are, the criminal procedure law. They're not aware of them. Cases of murder are dismissed on procedural basis, as well as on the basis of lack of evidence, or not guilty. Just on the basis of procedure. If you're supposed to announce an appeal within 14 days or effect in 14 days, you don't, and the average party come and present that to the judge will be forced to dismiss the case on procedural reasons. Now, I would not sit here and claim to know exactly what happened in court and the pieces of evidence that were adduced during trial. I don't know. So I can't speak to those, but from what I saw, clearly there was an act that led to somebody being injured and almost killed. Somebody should be held responsible for that. I don't want to believe, and I don't think anybody ever thought that lady injured herself. I heard another round of interesting conspiracy that it was actually the motorbike guy who actually injured the girl or pretending to be this person, all of that. So all of those stories, the truth was supposed to come when they convey in court. I was not there. I didn't follow. So it's tough to say. But I would say that whenever something like this happens, it raises the suspicion. It raises the inconfidence. It raises the hatred. It raises the letdown that Liberians will have in the justice system whenever something like this happens. So it's important for our actors right now, the judicial actors, to also educate the public after a trial like this come to rest. They should educate the people so people will know what really happened. Because I from this position, I can't say exactly what led to the non-guilty verdict. If the guy was set free, he's not guilty. Then who was responsible for the injury? Because the law says when somebody is injured, people got to take responsibility for that. There has to be some accountability. Who are responsible? I don't know. If it say herself, it say the motorbike guy who rescued her. Who? We need some answers, So, and this is a very serious matter. I remember the issue of the drug traffickers and other kind of things. People were let go, and there was a big cry. Say evidence was provided, but still, we have to come to a place where, and this was one of the reasons why we went into our civil conflict, because people lost confidence in our justice system. They believe that they will not have justice if they go to court. So people had a tendency to take the laws into their hand to act, and this is a huge responsibility that all of us as Liberians and our leadership have to do to address that confidence, restoring confidence in the justice system. When the war happened and the country was returning to normal, I was fortunate to be at UNDP as a project officer, and most of the money we received on a mass justice and security project was to restore civil confidence. So we went around the country building courts, reconstructing courts, buying police uniform, actually to make sure that civil authorities were actually put back in place. And we did a whole lot of stuff when I was at UNDP. That's very important in making sure that the populace have confidence in the justice system. And that is something that we are still lacking. We need to work on. But I'm sorry, I can't speak directly to that case because I don't have all the information. And I will not just blindly criticize only because I know everybody's saying it's wrong. It's wrong. I can't speak to it. I hope that at some point in time we'll get all the information and what happened in court, and I could be able to say something about it.
All right, thank you. And I have a second question. So far, since the new government was elected into power, can you give me a take on how you think they are proceeding? Is everything all right? Are you in Liberia right now?
No, I'm here. I don't know where you are in the United States as well. I'm in the States.
Oh, okay. So you're in the States.
I think I crossed paths with Keff Hassan. I went to Liberia briefly and came back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But look, like any new government, I think one thing that is driving these high expectations is because the experience of the last government, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. So people have high expectations. I would advise Liberians to kind of lower the expectation for now and see what happens. This government has not been in power for 6 months, not even 6 months, okay? So there are a lot of things that are going to happen. I know there are a lot of mistakes in different places. There are some actions and no actions at all. As mature as the government is supposed to be and people perceive them, I think they're still learning certain things as well. Okay, so we need to lower our expectation a little bit. It's just 3 months or 4 months. I think things will happen. We pray that things will happen, that the government will get its traction and that they will be able to contend with all of the competing issues. The demands are so high. They're very high. I don't see how any government can be in any country within 4 months will be able to turn all of those mistakes and error and abuse, and onslaught on an economy that happened in the past 6 years. The government will be able to turn that around within 4 months. I don't see how that's going to happen. People talking about prices going up and this and that. It's going to take some time. So I think we're not very happy with certain things. I know clearly there have been some mistakes, that happened with security, with appointing of officials, we're identifying who goes, to this ministry or this agency, but the government spending a whole lot of time concentrating on appointments, and making government even bigger and bigger right now. I think a lot of things, those things are going to simmer down. I will hope that after 6 months, the government will have gained a lot of traction, and they will have understood the dynamics and will be able to employ some other mechanism to address all of these concerns. The issue of electricity, water, and all of these kind of things. I think it's going to take some time. Normally, we start to be very critical of our government after its first year. This government is not even 5 months here. And then everybody is saying, I think we're going back to normal. It's worse than this, is worse than that. That's because these people, our people, have suffered abuse and neglect for so long that right now the expectation of a rescue mission, they call it, the expectations are just so high, and they're becoming disappointed. And it's understandable, but we need to be a bit patient and work with the government and see where we go from here.
Thank you.
Councilor Verdier, first of all, before I even get to my next set of questions, I just want to highlight a few things that you spoke to. As we go on, a lot of our audience, members of the audience are coming on. I just want to highlight a couple things that you spoke about. You clearly stated in your statement that the LACC, the code of conduct for the LACC, requires government officials, elected government officials, that includes Amara Conan and that of Honorable Joseph Numa Boakai, to declare their asset prior to the ascendancy to the position for which they were elected. I'm glad that you spoke of that. You also made mention of the fact that Amara Conan, of course, and Honorable Boakai did not follow the law. And you then also highlighted something very important here, that is the legal system in our country is not functioning. Terrible. A lot of instances where your hands may have been tied because certain people were in higher places and you just could not pursue them legally because they held you back to enable you function adequately. I'm also concerned here with the legal system. Statements made can also be, to some extent, contradicted. Councilor Jerome Verdier, your brother, he participated in the TRC hearing as a chairperson. As of recent, he been heard making contradicting statements. One of them was when he alleged that the young man, what's his name? The city mayor was involved with Councilor Musu Scott's death. And now this is a legal mind who actually people look up to, okay, for recommendations and other sense of direction when it comes to legal issue. He made several other statements about some of these things. What do you make of it, considering we are now going to the War and Economic Crimes Court, and he was one of those who actually participated in all of the structuring and obtaining of data that could probably help in this entire process. But now he coming across to be very contradicting and indicting people without the legal process. What do you make of it? Are you concerned about this? If so, what is your concern?
Okay, first, I think you made some very insinuating comments. In my description of what happens at LACC or the code of conduct, I did not mention names.
No, you did not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in your description, I people who come on will think that I mentioned Amara Cornell or mentioned the president.
Well, that's fair, but it's just that I was just speaking
generally, but what the law is.
Right.
So whoever falls within that, I understand what you're doing, but I did not mention those names.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second thing is that I did not say that the legal system is not functioning. No, I didn't say that. The legal system is functioning.
Adequately. You said it's not functioning adequately.
There are some lapses.
That's what I said.
Lapses.
It is not functioning adequately.
There are some places where we expect actors of the judicial system to do certain things and they're not doing it, and people are disenchanted. I understand that, but it's functioning. If it's not functioning, then we'll be in complete disarray, isn't it? All right. So regarding my brother runs his international justice group thing. How he gets his pieces of evidence and information, I don't query for that. Sometimes we discuss. My brother has this movement. There's some things I disagree with him on. There are other things I do agree with him on. I would say to you that a lot of our disagreements are kind of shallow, but most of our agreements are very high because we were raised under the same rule. We have almost the same values. But personally, I would say to you that I disagree on certain things. Like, for example, in 2008, when I returned to Liberia, the TRC was just concluding, and my brother and I was sleeping on the same bed. I advised him on certain things again about. He agreed. He told me, it's true. This is what we've decided. We're not going to do this again because of A, B, C, and D. So they went ahead and did what they did against what I advised, And so also there have been times where he advised me on certain things. I'm saying, look, I'm convinced this is the right thing to do. So, he's doing what, I don't know how he got his information. I think he would be the best evidence to ask this kind of question. But certainly there's some disclosure that have me concerned, and I will ask him, we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to come out here and say, those particular things. But certainly as a legal advocate as well, I expect that the issue of consistency with the law, so non-contradictory statement, would be pertinent whenever he discusses these kind of issues and all of that. Yeah.
Great. And finally, with regards, I will come back to the issue of asset recovery. I know you spoke of this. You spoke of it lengthily. That we shouldn't have to go back to that question, but I'm going to push this in because here we are talking about the issue of corruption, wasteful spending, and now we're dealing with this issue of asset recovery. If you were in that position, what would be your reaction to this entire asset recovery thing? What would be your reaction, and how will you pursue everything else? The current asset recovery team that have been instituted. And let me just add to that, I know the current government is talking about conducting audit. Would you advise the audit to be specific to the most recent government, that is the CDC government, or they should go beyond the CDC government and include the UP government in the entire auditing process and possible prosecution?
Well, I'll say this. I thought that the government will utilize the existing institutions and structures that they have, equip them in terms of asset recovery, because asset recovery to also require a legal process. Even the NSCC Act has something about asset recovery. After a successful judgment of somebody being guilty, you could use that process to attach property and all of that, and to demonstrate that those properties were acquired as a result of a criminal behavior, corrupt behavior and all of that. So there's an asset recovery regime already in the NSCC Act that you could use. I think the current asset recovery team is too huge. I think it should have been, from my point of view, I think it should have been like 2 or 3 persons appointed and allow them to recruit professional accountants and lawyers who would do investigation, who would uncover things rather than a lot of political persons. I think they can revisit it, but I think it's too huge. It's too big a team. Just on the onset to appoint, say about 15 persons, I don't know how many persons. Yeah, that's too huge. Asset recovery team is supposed to be composed of mostly technical people.
Technocrats.
who will do investigation, who know how to trace money, trace assets, and go after them, and people who will be able to get in touch with partners outside Liberia to be able to identify assets all around. So maybe that's something that can be corrected. I really think it's too big. You don't need such a large team. If the team gets large, increases, then maybe they are recovering assets and getting some money back, and then you can infuse some of that money, new resources back, and making the team, capacitating the team, and making it stronger. You know what I'm saying? Well, until you do that, I think it's just too large to do that. Okay. So, and the next question again
was the issue of audit that was
going back. I think the government is doing the right thing to audit the past administration. That is just what is expected of any government. I don't know why the George Weah government did not audit the Eddie Johnson Sirleaf government. I don't understand it. That beats me. But I think the government is doing well. Now, audit can go as far back as you want to, but many pieces of evidence can disappear with time. You know, people can tamper with some way. So you want to capture as much as possible. The soonest, the better. You know, I think that any government that has a suspicion of wrongdoing at any time can conduct investigation and audit. So if you want to go back 12 years, yeah, you can do that. You know, but how much is going to get as compared to going back 6 years? I think if the government starts with 6 years, they can go beyond based on the success of the 6 years audit. You know, and again, let me let you know that conducting audits for this level of time is also financially intensive. You got to deploy auditors in institutions where they will spend a lot of time. It takes away some extra resources. And I don't know whether the legislature, you know, actually budgeting the budget for that. That can be another issue. GSC will be asking for much more money. But I think the most prolific thing to do right away is to audit the immediate past government and see what they left, what they did. And then later on, government can decide to go further on that. That would be my advice. I would not just rush into auditing for 12 years or 16 years ago, because the last 12 years before the George Weah administration will make it 18 years. You know what I'm saying? So I will not rush into doing that. I will look at the last 6 years and see what we get from there.
Thank you.
That would be my advice.
Kev, as your last question, Kev, so we'll let the councillor go. We're going to take a man whole evening, please.
Yeah, Councillor Brother, and any, you know, I think you answered my question. I wanted to ask you for the end about the asset recovery, but I think you answered, and then you talk about audit. During the Elling regime, any audit took place?
During the Elling regime?
Yeah.
To my understanding, a lot of audits took place.
Did they prosecute anybody?
Oh, sure. For Elling, there are black people who were prosecuted. I attempted to prosecute people based on audit, you know, and one of those cases that were kicked out of court on the basis of statute of limitation was the Nukar case that I tried to prosecute.
That's what I was going. Yeah,
I came and met the Nukar case. I met the case at NCC. I was not there at the time, but I met that case. I took that case and wanted to prosecute, and we have credible evidence.
Wow.
Credible evidence. So that case was kicked out on the basis of statute of limitation, but 5 years after.
Also, so that means so that Nukar case can't come back no more again.
Oh, that particular case, no, cannot come back because it was kicked out of court.
Wow.
Yes, gentlemen, it looks like I'm running out of battery. Let me get my charger and charge my and plug my laptop.
That's why I brought it up. That's why I asked him, yeah. Because that's exactly what happened.
Oh my
in the
God.
car case.
I mean,
he out of court. Yeah.
Just took that money away and just walk with all that money for nothing.
Yeah. But it's the same. It's the same JNB was
No. Let me say this: there is a difference, Kev. In the reason why the Nukar case was kicked out is because an audit was done, and the argument was that. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, go. Yeah, audit was done, and this audit was presented to the executive management and legislation and all of that. The argument in court was that this audit was brought to the attention of the government, and the government sat on that audit for more than 5 years.
Yes.
So the information was not new. Why are you coming to prosecute these people now after 5 years? So that's why the statute of
You're quite
limitation.
correct. You're quite correct because it's
so
government start on it.
I guess I understand where Kev is going. If there were audits done, during that part, I'm sure 12 years as well, and the audit reports are there and government did not act on it, it will be difficult when you get a court will say about the statute of limitation.
Wow.
All right.
That was one of my recommendations to the Judicial Committee when I was here at NACC. The recommendation we try to get Councilor Vani Sherman and his team to consider was to pass an act stating that all officials of government, once you come to public office, you are going to relinquish your right against self-incrimination, so that it can allow us to do lifestyle audit. But when you have, according to the Constitution, every citizen you are protected and prevented from granting or giving evidence against yourself. So even if we don't have the evidence and we see that your income just doesn't match your lifestyle, that should raise eyebrow, and we believe that you should be investigated for that. But with the Constitution and the right against self-incrimination, a man will just say, so what? It doesn't matter, lifestyle, so what? What can you do about it? If you want to prosecute me, bring the evidence. And if you don't have that evidence, you can't prosecute that man. So we had some serious problem with that, because we were talking about conducting lifestyle audit, just matching people's performance, their lifestyle performance with their income. Something's wrong. I can't be making $5,000 a month, and then my expenditure, you see, is like $11,000 a month. Something is happening. But if we don't have that evidence, we can't prosecute you unless you provide that evidence. And if you establish or act of law for lifestyle audit, it means that the onus of evidence, the responsibility to provide it, will pass on from the accuser to the defendant. If NSCC accuses you or say this car is not your car because you didn't make the money to buy it, you will be on a responsibility. You will have the onus not to tell us where you got that money from to buy the car.
Can you answer this question, please? This person, one of our can you answer this question, please? One of our
Does criminal case have statute of limitation?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
But Chuchu, ask the last question. So
Yeah. Well, I think the councilor here was a former public official. I think he can indulge us with time.
Let me say that today is my daughter's birthday, and I have to go for a family dinner with her. So please.
Yeah, let me make it short. At least that's one question.
Thank you, and happy birthday to your daughter, and we'll let you go soon. But brother, two questions I want to ask you. One is political. Most of the times we see people like you who play a major role in our society and are very influential, but you do not take a political stand in terms of endorsement, in terms of providing the public with guidance on leadership in this country. I want to know your political views in terms of what's your affiliation, what are your views on the different political parties as it reflects on leadership. As you know, the system we're being governed by Unity Party, CDC. Do you think that those parties that don't even declare their assets, I mean, they break the most fundamental laws, disregard for public trust, do you think that these people in the future should be brought back for leadership in our country? That's my first question on your political views and things. The second question here, as an advocate, recently, and you mentioned that Liberia is a signatory to most of the international laws and conventions. That includes law against humane treatment and things like that. The Bunker administration went ahead in Kidman County and basically murder people for protesting. We did not hear you. We did not hear the Councilor Gongolo. We did not hear the Jerome Verdi, all the people who've been talking about justice and peace condemn this act. So what is your view on the fact that people should be allowed to protest? There's an ongoing protest in Europe right now where they're spilling car manure on the streets. on property and thing. Nobody been killed for 6 months. But in Liberia, where people just protest against the government, and you use lethal force and death. And another incident was the case at the LEC, where this young man was killed, wrestled and killed for allegedly power theft. Do you not think that Liberia, being a signatory, and people like you who have the legal minds should start to file case against the Barker administration for crime against humanity? What is your role in these things? And the Consul Gonglo, I hope he comes here, your justice advocates, while you're sitting supinely in the midst of, humane treatment and these kinds of acts.
Yeah, I think you make some very provocative statements. It's good, but again, in your description or your definition of some crime, like you're referring to crimes against humanity. There are parameters under international law for acts to be considered crimes against humanity, and the thing that happened in Cape Mount just doesn't qualify for that. That qualifies for common, maybe police brutality, and excessive force. That's what that amounts to, and that's wrong. Whenever peace officers, are charged with responsibility of going to ensure peace and security in the community, and it results into a fatality, that is wrong. Excessive force. The police has a way of prosecuting those kind of people, disciplining them, and they should. The opportunity or the decision to come out every now and then and say something against certain things, I think is something that is germane to individual personal advocates. I don't think there's a collective responsibility now to do that. So people take the decision based on their conviction, their position at the time. I'll say this to you, and this is very personal. I guess it's not personal when I say it here, but to a large extent, Chuchu, I've lost a lot of confidence in the Liberian people, in their ability to absorb advocacy on their behalf, and for them to appreciate it. In my view, in my corner, I've lost that thing, because how can a group of people go and elect a Nathaniel McGee after all the broadcasting, about him being involved in corruption? Nathaniel Twelby and many others. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of pronouncements, there are a lot of revelations and this and that, and you still go and elect these people. How can you elect somebody who, for all his years after the war, Prince Johnson said he liberated Limba people, but you know that he was involved in a lot of egregious killings? How can you consistently elect him to power? You think these people deserve to be spoken on? I mean, I have judged myself, regarding these things. At some point in time, and one of the climaxing point that brought this to me is that we took in 2016, we took Madam Woki Parker to court for siphoning $980,000 from the MPA. Took her to court. Nobody knew where the money went. We charged that woman for corruption. We took her to court. When we got to court, there was a huge group of Liberian people jeering at us and booing us and telling us why we didn't go to court. Those things do have impact on you. Chuchu, I've come a long way. I've been involved in social justice issues from the time I was in high school, then to college. I went to jail for 3 good months. Actually, 3 months. I was arrested under the Doe administration when I was vice president of the University of Liberia Student Union. It was because of my arrest that I went to law school. I wanted to be a diplomat. That's why I always loved foreign service. So my undergraduate degree was political science with emphasis on international relations. For those 3 months incarceration, I decided to go to law school just to help other people who I saw were suffering, and just because they didn't have anybody to represent them. Then I left and became the director of JPC. I was a legal officer for JPC for all those years. I was going to the different prison and filing action on behalf of people who were here in prison, so that they could be released, because some of them were just here arbitrarily. my brother, all of those things can have some impact on the things that you do. You know, at this point right now, sometimes I say that and say, look, I don't think like everybody have said the things, you know, because they come back and they repeat one thing over and over. You know, so sometimes that's what informs your action, and that's, like I said, it's personal. That what I'm a member of a political party. I do have, of course, I ascribe to the issue of social justice, to democracy. I do, but for a very long time in my political history, I have not identified with a particular political party. And I think it was good because it led me to be as independent as I wanted to be and did what I wanted to do. But quite recently, about 3 years ago, I've been aligned and associated with the National Democratic Coalition. You know, Larry talked about Dubai Yam, myself, and other people. I've been associated with them. I serve as chairperson of the North America branch of the National Democratic Coalition, and been providing some leadership, you know, here and there. But if I was going to vote in Liberia, definitely I would have voted for the United Party, because it was, in my view, was the better choice as compared to CDC and whatever. I criticized CDC from George Weah specifically from the very beginning. If you know the history with George Weah and myself, I criticized him from 2004 until he was incompetent, he was dangerous for Liberia, and he was half-baked. And so nobody should elect him. And that was responsible for the rift that he and I had. So those my political views are clear. You know, I'm an advocate for social justice. I believe in the law, and I would defend it as much as possible. But some of those personal experience will inform why I'm not speaking out every now and then about Liberian people. I don't. So I hope you respect that.
Oh,
Would you lastly support me for presidency in 2029?
Will I do what?
Would you support me for presidency in 2029?
I can say that. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. Maybe I myself might be a candidate for.
Okay. Then we have to talk.
That's what we need to talk. Wow, we need to talk.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. Thank you for your time. And I respect you're a very candid man, and I like people who are straightforward and to the point. But myself, I advocate a lot for, you know, the ordinary people. I try to fight corruption, at least in my little weak way. And one of the pushback that I get is from my own colleagues and friends. Like, you know what I mean? I've been banned on almost every station. Even my writings are not published anymore. So I feel what you're saying, but we still have to fight for that change. You know, it's hard when your brother pushing you when you're trying to fight for them. I mean, we have jobs in America we can live. We want better life for our younger brothers and sisters. We want change for them. And they are the ones who put in for the majority and the we are and the whoever. Thank you very much, brother.
Absolutely.
Councilor Fred, I want to say thank you, but in your closing, I just want you to give, if you were just as a close, to say thank you first for coming on our platform. We appreciate you. I've shared a lot of perspective on a lot of issues that have been trending, and people have, I've gotten a lot of messages, people have been texting me that a lot of stuff they pick up, we learned tonight from your discussion tonight with us, interaction. It's good for our country.
Yep.
When I met you in North Carolina too, I said this time around, 2029, we cannot sit aside. Everybody got to have all hands on deck. We cannot got to be like Chuchu said. Everybody got to be involved. We got to take a side, do something. Got to get involved. We can't just sit and let people say, "Well, we'll let people do it." No, because this is our last. I call it our last stand. Because by the time most of us will be approaching our 60s and getting ready to retire now, and then we're not a good future. So we all got to get involved. I want to say thank you, appreciate you, but just as you close, just if you are advising. You're advising the government now about the war. How to make this thing work. In your closing now, thank you so much.
We're getting echo from the microphone. I didn't get that question.
Yeah, if you're advising the government now, what will be your advice to proceed and
Actually, I need to mute yourself.
Just mute yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
What will be your advice to see how we proceed for it to be successful? Because some people are saying that they doubt it will happen. They don't have confidence that it will happen. They believe that they won't get an outcome. The outcome want to get from out of this whole thing. But if you are advising them as an advocate and then as a legal person The good thing about you are serving a lot of roles, you know. And again, like you said, I remember vividly, you were one of those who were jailed by the Samuel Doe administration. I remember when you were in Linsu and also, you guys were very brave, especially at that time we had no democracy. Under a military regime, you're challenging the Doe, and Doe went after you, and you guys paid the price, you know, for what we are today in our democracy too, because at that time you couldn't go to court because of decree. And they jail you, they kill you, and even some of your friends, the Wood Tapia, all these people lost their life because of what you guys are doing. But so you come from a very great background to give some thoughts about what your expectation, what your advice for this court, how for you to proceed, for it to be successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tomalin, for being so kind. I always believe that if our government wants to proceed with a venue, no matter the nomenclature we give it, a venue to resolve an issue of war and the wrong that was perpetrated against the Liberian people and the hurt that they experienced, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, you know, already provided enough basis to continue. And there was no need to keep dragging it. I think, and like everybody has said, the political will has always been lacking, even despite the pronouncements, the speeches, and all of that. Where we are right now as a government, with a resolution to establish the code, I think the government should take seize of that and run with the process. Like I said in the opening or earlier, I believe that we could use our code structure to just prosecute people for those things and charge them. You know, they're war crimes, they're not statute of limitation on them, you know. But with the goodwill out there from the international community, I think an establishment of a war crime code, a war economic crime code, will lead to a lot of support. People are talking about insecurity, you know, that people will rise up this and that. You never know whether these things can happen unless you test them. You know, I will not run away from that. As a country, I believe that we have the ability and the willpower from the people to prosecute people who perpetrated crime against its people during the wartime. And we can establish the code right here, ask for a lot of international support, you know, to make sure that those things happen. I would advise the government to proceed as quickly as possible. So hopefully within the next 1 to 2 years, we can put this issue of war crime code behind us, let some people get some healing, and then the country can move on. You know, so I think they should give it an expedited process to establish the court. I think that's what we should do. You know, like I said, we may not have all the experience, but you can use 3 months to train some Liberian lawyers based on the international laws and everything who will man the code. If it's not enough, then the legislature can quickly pass an act that grants the authority or the right for international lawyers coming to work with the war crimes code when it's established, giving a right to practice law in Liberia, using Liberian law so that you extricate that war crime code from our justice system, and the war crime code decision will not be appealed to the Supreme Court. We can use 2 years and make sure we clear all of those things, and Liberian people can move on. People may go to jail, people may not go to jail, but people must have the opportunity to confront those who actually perpetrated the crimes against them. And even the alleged perpetrator should have the opportunity to confront their accusers, because it's not everybody who accuses somebody of doing something already did that. So you're not going to know the truth until you bring those 2 people together, whether it's through their lawyers or through themselves. You will not know the truth until these people can confront each other, and that's what is provided for. And then civilized community, accusers must confront the accused, and the accused must confront the accusers. So we need to actually expedite that process. I would think that this would be very high on the list of the current government, along with other things, you know, and while fighting corruption. Starting on the economic crime code will also expedite cases of corruption. Now, with the new power that NECC has, they can use that, use their code, have a sitting judge, and then you just expedite cases through that. And those who are found guilty can go to jail. You know, I think we have the opportunity. President Broka has that opportunity. I don't think, from my sitting position, that President Broka is really concerned about re-election. He should be concerned about legacy, establishing a legacy. You know, and whether the people want to vote for him in 2029, well, but he should be able to get Liberia back on the path of recovery, on the path of confidence of its people in the justice system, you know, and on the path of economic growth and development. I think that should be the concern of the current government.
Thank you so much, and happy birthday to your daughter. I know what her name. You can say happy birthday to her.
Her name is Jimani Nayere Verdier. She turns 12 years old today. So we're going to have a dinner for her, and then on Saturday also, I think she's going to be having a party with her friends. But yeah, this has stopped me actually from going to that dinner, so I'm going to join in. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate the discussion, and let's do that some other time.
It was great. It was great actually seeing you meet in Charlotte.
Yeah, Lofa, it was good seeing you too. Chris, you say you have a 12-year-old?
I have a 12-year-old son.
Oh, really?
So my son said happy birthday.
If you know how tall I am, my daughter is almost like here to me. She's 12 years old.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Okay, I'm 5'10", and my husband is 6'1", so my son is tall.
Oh,
that's so you know.
So we're already matchmaking right now.
Yeah, I was about to say it's matchmaking.
Thank you, Councilor Verdier. We appreciate it.
Folks. Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Well, guys, we got 2 more minutes. I think it was a good discussion. A lot of perspective he shared with us. It's good, especially the views on issues of corruption and the war crimes code, and also the recovery, the 10-year position, a lot of stuff. And guys, we continue to make these interventions to bring people on who can share the perspective with us. It's good for our country.
Yeah.
And, but quickly, I will just ask you, I will start with Keff. What's on your mind? And we can move on. And what's on your mind? And we can see how we call it.
Yeah, let me say this. That will be my closing too, because I've seen the time running up. That will be my closing. But let me say this. At least folks get to hear that, you know, the Nukau incident, you know, that they sat on it, and that's it. And then you want to come and lecture us and saying that you want to fight corruption. Where were you with the knockout, and you were in government where you sat on that knockout issue? Where were you? You know, but again, I feel that a lot of Unity Party people feel that a lot of Liberians are stupid, so they feel that. They actually know that. That's why they're doing the thing. They're doing it. That's why they will create an asset recovery team and act like police people, and they feel that a lot of people are not smart to understand that you're taking the law into your own hand. You take Emmanuel Gongwa, put him on the street acting like policeman. What kind of thing is that? What kind of gangster life is that?
Message coming for your car. Your car, you get bro. It will take it.
No, so the guys that, you know, and for me, I just think Liberia is a place that we got to be serious here. We got to be serious here. When people start thinking and start being biased, using the minds of biasness to make their judgment, and then if they stop that, they will think straight. They will understand and see. They need to open their eyes and see. You know, how can somebody who destroy you come and tell you, "I'm for you"? Okay, what sense that make? I don't get it. Sometimes I just pass over me and see how Liberian and some Liberian, not every, some Liberian, because the country is split into two. The way the process thing, you expect GMB to succeed with that kind of mindset around. You know, people ask me, "You want GMB to fail?" I say, "Yes, I want him to fail." I want JMB to fail. Yes, because the reason I want JMB to fail, because I'm not going to subscribe to his way. Do I want JMB to succeed while you get Maya Gongwa stopping people on the streets? Do you want me to follow that kind to allow JMB to succeed? Do you want me to allow JMB to succeed or taking the law into his hands and doing things that Kyle will go through that and craziness and leave that and run behind somebody else? Do you want me to support JMB to succeed why he went through the group of 77, everything that went there, everything that happened? He said, no, don't touch those people, but touch these other people. I don't want JMB to succeed in that lifestyle, because you know why? That's the reason why we lost 250,000 people. The reason we lost 250,000 people because of that mindset, being selective. The folks in Nimba say, you don't like me. The other folks say you don't like me. That mindset, I don't want JMB to succeed because of witch hunt. There's a lot of integrity agency that should use. Everybody here, James Verdier. There's asset recovery within the LACC. Do I want him to succeed to bypass the LACC? So when people say when I say I don't want him to succeed, they say, oh, you don't want him to. No, you cannot succeed under that kind of circumstances. No, don't bypass the integrity agency. Let's listen to the law. Go by the law. So for me, I would say, I don't want JMB to succeed. I want him to fail. Period.
Wow. Anyway, that's your personal. You're entitled to it, though. Grace.
Well, it's a good show tonight. I really enjoy speaking with Councilor Freddie. I think he's a very learned man. Will I vote for him if he runs for president? No, but I think he's a very learned Liberian. And I like to see people like that, in being a Liberian. Let me say that. So I want to thank him again if he's watching for coming on the show. But things that he said, I just wanted to go over some of them. Bwaka was in violation of declaring his assets. That's the beginning of corruption. He was supposed to declare his asset before he took office. And with all those people going for confirmation, not knowing the law said that they shouldn't even be going there to be confirmed if they did not declare their assets, all those things are signs of corruption. How the government begin, that this government will not even succeed, as Kev was saying. I personally want them to succeed, because if they succeed, Liberians succeed. But how would they succeed in all these different lapses that they started with? And the first 100 days almost it's a failure. I think we're going to have that show here, coming soon in May, about the first 100 days and what they didn't do and what they did, and compare and contrast and everything. So these are some of the things that it's just heartbreaking for them to even have Councilor Freddie saying that he leak a certain asset declaration. The assets are supposed to be published anyway. So if it was leaked, what's the big deal? Although it's illegal, but then what's the big deal? Why are they making issue of the air at this point in time? It's already passed. Since 2019, the man left office. So I don't think they should get people involved in this kind of public, dishonesty and talking about people information, leaking people information. This is not the problem right now. Our problem is for Bwaka government to live up to their promise, even in this short time, as they're saying that, oh, the government just came into power. We expected this government to come running, because they said the last government did not have the capacity, they did not have the experience. So we knew that they were running since Dakina come. Since we had to power, they started running. Soon he got in office, they were already forming a campaign against him. So how I say now you're in power and you're not ready, you say we should manage our expectation. The Liberian people will not manage their expectation. They expect what they want to expect, and they were supposed to get what they expect. Right now, there's a news out here since yesterday. You said in tight Liberia pharmacies, they are seeing that most of the drugs are being sold on the market. They are stolen drugs because those drugs are donations to Liberia. People, the poor people, are supposed to get these drugs for free. And they when they send the drugs to Liberia as donations, the people take the drugs. All these people that work in government, in the healthcare system, they have pharmacists and they have hospitals running. So they take the drugs away from the poor people and they sell it into in the pharmacy. So when you don't have money, that's the reason why most of our people are dying from common sicknesses. And we want the government to be able to regulate these things. And that's the reason why we don't want to manage our expectation, because we expected them to come on the ground running. They had other candidates in the race that were ready to do this work. They were prepared. The Liberian people said no, they wanted Joseph Boakai to rescue them. And then we cannot wait for another 2 years to pass. No. We wanted him to come and do what he had to do because he promised the Liberian people he was going to do that. We don't expect him to be confused at the point in time that still appointing people and withdrawing them and still appointing more people into the government. The government is not going to hire the entire Liberia. They have to create a private sector that the private sector is supposed to be able to have a vast amount of jobs opportunity for our people to go and look in that area to find jobs. But if you take everybody that were in your campaign and try to get a government job, like creating a whole asset discovery team that could just be that level of work could just be given to LSCC. We don't understand it, so we will have to complain. This is why our complaints are it cannot end, and we'll continue to complain about the Liberian people. And more Ali, I want to send a message to you. What you doing in Liberia concerning the water and sewer? We don't know whether they say you have, I don't know how many degrees, you never learn where in school. Get it, don't get it twisted. You cannot go to our poor people houses and cut the water and tell them, say, because I got information from Nukutan, Kawe, Douala, people calling, how Mo Ali sent his team to turn the water off, and now they're telling them to pay $400 per house. Where are the people going to get $400 for to pay per house to put the water back on and say you're starting a whole new program for the Liberian people to be able to pay water bill? Go and do your homework. Do your homework well, my brother. If you want to start anything concerning that, you have to come on a flat rate. If you disconnect all the water, the people that have water in your country, then you have to come and say, you know what, we're disconnecting you, but we're going to start this. Come up with a project and a program to help the people. You cannot go to one woman house who sell in the market and got 3 children to support and say that, oh, you're cutting her water and she should come with $400 to pay to water and sewer before you pour her water back on for her meter to start all over. This is not fair for the people. And this is the reason why the people voted you into office. So all the little things we can continue to talk and talk and talk, but the country is lawless right now. It's lawless. And we did not expect it from Joseph Boakai government, not at all. Because we knew the people, you said they knew what they were doing, and they were going to come and they were going to rescue the Liberian people, and this is what we expect. So I thank you for being on the platform. I could go on and on, but we don't have time. But I think Joseph Boakai should take heed from these different platforms and try to do something correct for once. Because the first 190 days is not looking promising for our people. And we are sad that this is happening. We are very disappointed. And we hope that things changes. Thank you.
Lofa.
Let me start. I'm going to start on this note. I'm glad that Councilor Verdier actually came on tonight. It was a great opportunity to engage him, and I think we learned a lot from the engagement. Whether one may want to consider a factual that is on them, but something that he highlighted tonight, and I just want to just emphasize on this note. He highlighted and educated us on a part of the code of conduct that requires elected public officials and others or appointed public officials to declare their assets. To date, I see that the likes of American and other people are courageously making these kind of posts. All right. I feel like it's an insult to our intelligence, and Americans should stand nowhere around anything close to pretending as though he can and portray himself as that man of transparency. And I'll read for the public. Okay. American on his page said, for those who are concerned about my sharing of public information that doesn't compromise national security on my Facebook page and website, I suggest you stop following me. Open government today, open government tomorrow. Yet and still, American cannot openly disclose to us his assets and publish it. So what's wrong with it? That's the question. If you believe in open government today and open government tomorrow, and you're courageous enough to make these public statements, but you're not courageous enough to declare and publish your assets, and you think all of us supposed to fall into, and that's why when people ask me questions such as, why only American? Why only American? I sometimes question the logic. Are you really serious as to why only American? If he's courageous enough to come out here and make these declarations, open government today, open government tomorrow, why is he not publicly disclosing his assets or his asset declaration? Because they are all fraudulent in their activities. They are all corrupt, and they're finding ways to cover up and pretending to Liberians to their grandstanding as though they are in the public interest. This is part of the reason why young people would never experience justice in Liberia, because the like of Americone and other people who's supposed to stand up and do what is right, they are just a bunch of fakers, fakery, to the extent that they will not even do what they claim on the social media. Talk about transparency today, transparency tomorrow. You're not transparent. Honorable Joseph Boyka, who claimed he was coming to rescue Liberia, guess what? He came, he couldn't publicly publish his asset declaration. And we're supposed to believe in these people to change Liberia? Jessica Lloyd may not get justice today. Neither will she ever get justice in Liberia, because you know what? She's not one of the big wigs. Nobody knows Jessica. So at the end of the day, her story will end up in just fairy tale. I don't know if that is how one wants to describe what happened to that young lady. The attempt to murder a woman by a Caucasian in Liberia today came to just a slow stand. It is sad for us to sit here. But I will say, and I'll close on this note, not to keep her here much longer. The desire for change in Liberia is not simply based on age. The level of maturity and understanding as to why you decide and where you want to institute that change. When I hear my brother Alex talking about he wants to serve in leadership, when you of all person, you cannot control your emotion. You get upset when one platform refuses to give you the opportunity, saying you come attacking personality, you come attacking every aspect of it when you have been given opportunity to be a part of that platform. But because of one instance where you are not allowed to come on, you attack the entire platform and call the platform biased. But yet and still, you will sit with all of us, and then we will. So are you biased then in the fight? This is not what leadership speak to. We must understand that in order to be leaders in our society, in order to be leader in our communities, we must serve by example. I saw you attack other people, and I say to you, change that behavior so we all can change Liberia together. Thank you, guys.
Alex Tutu Jones.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second, please. Before Lofa said I ran away. Anyway.
You didn't run away. We can hear you.
My phone did before you said I ran away. Anyways, look, I respect open dialogue. I respect criticism. It makes you better. I get criticized all the time. I get insulted all the time. I don't go after any private person. I only go after institutions and leaders. So if you hear me say people in Liberian government embezzle, that's why I asked Councillor Verde. They've embezzled the country's money. From the Joseph Boyka to the Amara Kone to all these, to the George Weah. That's the reality. Alex Jones has not invested a dime. He has not been given any opportunity in Liberia where anybody can question his performance. Until he does that and he doesn't perform, then you can criticize him. But as a citizen of the country that I love, I have every right. The number one duty, I read in a book what it said, leading without being in charge. We think sometimes you got to be president of the country or you got to be in charge or something before you can impact the world. Martin Luther King was never appointed to any public position. Okay. And he changed the world. He changed laws. So all I'm doing here is to encourage the young people to stop following corrupt politicians, to hold public officials accountable, and give my own views on what I see the direction of leadership and the country going. 99% of the times of the things I've said from Ellen Johnson time has been correct. More than Lofa Julius, when they were supporting the Darius DeLong, I was telling them, this man is corrupt. This man has a line with all the bad people. The L is coming. The L is coming. The very CPP, when I was telling them, do not follow Joseph Boyka, I was very outspoken about it. The same ALC people were behind my throat. They insulted me. They did this. When the L is coming down, when they took in the court and started to do all these things. So, as a leader, I expect criticism, my brother. If I can't stand the heat, I shouldn't be in politics. So you're entitled to your opinion. Hold me accountable. Question me. And if this station is biased, I will say it. Whether I get invited or not. The stations I've gone, I have produced. You talk about Mo Ali. I've worked as an international consultant on water and sanitation for Africa. I was invited to provide proposal to Ministerial Council in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. When the Mo Ali came out, I reached out and said, look, I have some contacts. I have some platforms and some ways in which you can provide water affordably to our people. Okay, I'm not doing it. I don't like Joseph Boyka. I don't think that I'm the part of my part. I will still help the country. You think they're interested in that? No, they're not interested in that. They have not, show any interest in that. They want to hold a position, take the money, and run around. So I only care about Liberia. I'm half Liberian, half Senegalese. I made it very clear. I can go to Senegal today and live. But I love country. It's my motherland. I was born there. I went to school there. It's my country. And I will continue to speak out against the ill in our society till I die, no matter who it is. So, again, for this platform, like I said, Mr. Tomalin, we need to know your political affiliation. If you're in the press and holding other people accountable, that's why I asked a Councilor Verder. And Grace was very open and she said, I support Moloba. Because we can't keep being scattered. We can't keep, the people who we support, we sit down and then we let the Americans and the Marty Collins run around. They're going to influence our people. This is time to stand your ground. Lofa Julius, tell me who you support. Alex Jones is not your guy, clearly.
That part, I will give you 100%. Definitely not today, not tomorrow.
So tell us who you support. If you're on the media, much is giving, much is expected. So when I come here and give my views, it's unadulterated. I tell you clearly, Fonanti Kofa is corrupt.
I agree.
He's a embezzle. Arma Kone, they war an economic crime school. When me and Savi 3, 4, 5 years ago used to be on air day and night. And yes, Cindy, talking about the war economic crime school. Who in the media has ever pointed out, the real people who should be thanked for the war economic crime school for pressuring even a Dr. White, that Emmanuel Savage, that Yacindy. And I wouldn't take any credit. When I saw these young people doing it, I joined them and supported them. That's why our differences. So we should, if we want change, we have to be the one to come up and bring that change. Corrupt people are going to join corrupt people. Chris, I'm not against Moloba. But the only thing I'm saying, if you or comments or anybody, if you want to lead in this country, one, you must be heard. You must know what you want to do. You can't conglomerate around a small group of people and say, okay, everybody else should work with other people. Y'all have a primary. Everybody put a platform on the table. Then you can show the Liberian people, one, that we are capable. We're not like the other people. But if you just collect your friends, like you're just there for one. I'm not for that. I'm for transparency. I'm for good leadership, and I'm for change. I don't want to see anybody from the Liberty Party, the CDC. They have had their chances. Like you said, even the Councilor Brother, you've had your chances. You are the anti-corruption, head before. It's time to bring somebody new. Serve as a as a consultant, as a professor. Things must change. So I just want to see young leadership, and Timothy can say we want to know you, who you support politically.
Okay.
Please, thank you very much.
Well, I know my group, we call it the last stand. Our group name, the last stand. You know more about our group, the last stand. We're coming up soon.
Who's your candidate? Who you supported in the last election? Who you vote for?
We should have one here, but we call it the last stand.
You see that? You see what I'm talking about?
Well, no, I mean, but he's telling you that he's not ready to disclose that information. How is that anything bad?
The last stand. We just got how many years we got to election? We got 5 years, man.
You got enough time.
What time?
No, I'm talking about in the past. Who have you supported this going election?
Alex.
Okay, CDC. Look, I'm asking the man.
Second round, whatever judge we are. I mean, that's
okay. Thank you. Right. So when I say the platform is biased, if you get Timothy who's supporting George Weah, you got Keff Hassan who's supporting George Weah, right? Grace, okay, she's supporting what you call you. Dr. Monaba. Okay. Then how can you have a balance in terms of views and discussion?
But if you notice, they platform because take for example, right? Lofa, I can't remember him feeding the any party, but when we talking about
Lofa la ANC,
that's why you go with it.
I've heard him endorse the ANC to Mr. Cummings.
Yeah, but
there you go. You see, this is where you don't publicly come and just spew lies on anybody. You don't do that.
You are not endorsed Mr. Cummings? No, then clarify. You are not endorsed Mr. Cummings for the presidency?
No, you would not.
Let me do my closing, guys.
Go do your closing.
Alex,
no, because the reason, Tomalin, if you allow me, please, let me just.
Maybe I'm wrong. I've heard you.
Alex, let me say this, right? Let me tell you something, Alex.
On a serious note, guys, look, we all have a charge. We have a responsibility for our country. We got 5 more years, we all will be involved. And one thing I noticed on the platform, no matter who you for, when it comes to the issue of Liberia, people that speak their mind.
Yes.
If one guy, if he do something good, we're praising. If he do something the wrong way, we're criticizing. Come to even if we are says do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, we're criticizing. If you do something positive, we're praising. That's how you work. You can be supportive, but you gotta be objective and consistent. Don't only dare be extreme be one-sided. Then I want you to have a problem. But this
and the thing is that they allow us to talk here.
Feel free to talk. You criticize up to you.
Nobody ever right. Nobody ever
said and to my credit, I have played this platform.
Right?
I have played this platform. Correct, Timothy?
It's not about
But
Alex should not come out. Alex, this is what Alex wants.
If you have an issue, I mean, you come on the platform and speak.
Thank you. You can.
But that's all I did.
But you don't look, Alex. This is what Alex. That whole tactics of thinking that you can bully people into submitting to what you want. That doesn't work. To be honest with you, and that's the reason why I continue to come at you the way I come at you, because you felt
I don't care.
If I do that, I can get.
I think you're being personal for no reason.
I mean, you did it to other platforms that you were once a part of, and once they stopped,
and they were corrupt, and I called it out, and they didn't want to be accountable. So. If a platform
let me land. That is not the mentality.
But the man's attacking me. He's attacking my reputation.
Individual That is not the mentality of an individual who
guys.
sincerely wants to change
It's okay.
entire country. Or
That's your personal opinion.
don't attack people's
That's not fact. That's not fact.
We're not
I've
turning
been
this
on this
into a
platform.
conversation about you, Alex. I'm just warning you to learn how to
He's
govern.
only angry because I'm against communists. That's all.
No, I got nothing like that.
That's the only reason.
No, that's not why.
That's it.
Let us talk. Please.
Well, welcome back, Garment Gift Law. She's one of our regular followers. She's supporter of the platform. She was in Liberia for 3 months. She was at the airport today, returning from Liberia, and she was watching the show, Garment Gift Law. She's very strong supporter of our platform. And want to say, Garment, welcome back to the States. I know you had a nice time in Liberia. I want to say thank God for your safe arrival. We appreciate that. And also, guys, I want us to be checking on this thing about the mysterious outbreak of fires in Liberia. People got to investigate what's happening. Who are concerned about it. In this Lucas case, please, before we get back Friday, let us have more information on this case so we can bring it to the forefront. And the issue of drugs. Look, the drug issue, I will extend an invitation to the Fadika brother, Mr. Fadika. I talked to him last night. I will send an invitation to him and AB, the farmers going, because I heard this case they have reached the president now. It's a serious thing. Yeah. And if I listen to Fadika, I think he means well for what he's doing in the country. I think, but again, I got to hear all sides of the story. But I think from what I heard from other drug enforcement officers, I think they said they're in a challenge there. It's not easy. It's a complete fight that's going on right now. But I think he means well. And I told him last night, I said to fight the whole issue about drug in Liberia is an orchestrated syndicate that's on there. People from even in government are involved. People are in the legislatures people are involved to fight it. He will feel you will reach stiff resistance, and even the press will fight you because the press will be paid to fight you. So you have a lot of things. And I want to tell you, I said, look, be careful with your life because your life is at stake. Because you go on patrol at night, and trust me, the one thing you're fighting that drug issues like bro, if you can imagine how $100 million drug can case and be dismissed, you think about a joke. You know it's not easy. And why the issue of drugs still exists in Liberia? Because some people are involved with it. It's not the little man. You know, I heard some stories last night from other DA people, from other people in Liberia. I said, look, our country got far way to go. The issue of drugs is a serious national security threat to our country. Until we can get the bottom of it, it will be hard. And now you see the two top people in the drug and agency are fighting. The director proper and the operation guy who should be on the field, they are going back at each other. They undermine the whole institution. They are now the workers, the staff. They are now picking on each other. People are against. They are who for?
They taking sides.
Yeah, who for Fadika, who for AB. That's what's going on right now, and it's a tough thing. And to the extent where people are, look, I will invite him here. They will come here and they will explain because it's a serious thing, and it's something that the president. I'm happy that the president intervened. I heard he's involved in it now, but it's a serious thing, and I hope they get a bottom of it.
Honestly, I'm afraid for the young man Fadiga though.
But guys, on a side note, I want to say that I lost my oldest brother today, William Hill. He passed in Buchanan yesterday. He's the father of my niece, that's Cassandra Nije Hill. She's in Minnesota. My brother passed in Buchanan yesterday. He lived in New Jersey for many years. He relocated to Liberia a few years ago. So we call him Bill. William Hill. We lost him yesterday. I want to say that
our sympathy, Tomalin.
Our sympathy and condolences.
Thank you so much.
You and your family, bro.
But guys, look, let us really come prepared to discuss these issues, do research on all these things we're talking about, and get a bottom of it. And Alex, I say, the platform is open, and some people are afraid to even come here because they feel that the guys here will not come. They will be straightforward to them and so forth. And one thing I told a government official yesterday, one top official of government, he's president in Washington D.C. for the spring meeting. I said, look, you guys can choose a powerful platform to go. It's up to you guys. It doesn't matter to us, but because people already feel that. Say you guys will go a platform that is favorable to you guys or that favorable to the government. I said, but it will come a time that you guys will want to you beg to come because you want to make clarification. Like for instance, when I think that when Grace brought the issue about Mo Ali just now, somebody texted me already. Oh no, what Grace saying not true. But you see, I mean, she's not saying because she wants you to come, but that's why it's important to be free to come. If I'm a politician active in Liberia, I want to be afraid. I'll go on because that way you can go and face the people that you feel that are critical of you. Face them, and then at the end of the day, you kind of realize that you guys will realize that you want to express yourself and they understand you. But you say
so he need to kind of answer to my
if you say that if you're afraid to go on certain platform because the people that are critical of you, it's a problem, you know.
What I'm saying is true. The people that we helping like bro, they are calling us from all the neighborhoods, telling us that they turn the water off. More at least send people to turn the water off and everything, and the people even trying to take bribe from them to put the water back on. I personally told them to go to the water and sewer and make sure that they come back to and go and register for them to connect the water. They're asking to pay $400 per house. $400. That's not right. So let me kind of clarify it.
We'll find it out because it's important. And then I'll to this credit, I will give credit to the Minister of Information, Jeremy Pia. He's told me that he's prepared to come here anytime. But I think I'm waiting for the 100 days before I think I invite him. Even the Press Secretary, Kula Fofana, I give her credit to. She told me she's ready to come here anytime. But I'm looking for the first 100 days before we invite them. And even the Minister of Transport, Ralph Salif Tyler, he's willing to come too. Okay, so these are people who are willing to come anytime. And so I just taking it, at the appropriate time, we'll bring them over and so forth. Even in the legislature, some senators want to come. I told them, I said, not because they put a call your name, say they can't be afraid of. They'll come, meet them, and people, and instead of you avoiding them, and then when they go out, when they call your name, then you try to go to call people on the side of the tongue. It won't work. But I will not come and be your mouthpiece. No, I will not do it. No, I mean you have a right to come and defend yourself or clarify things. But but guys, I want to say thanks again, man. Look, let's keep on. And
thank you
to our supporters. We are low. We are running down. We need some cash to help us to keep the show going still. So please, our cash app is still there. TCA 2500. Please, we need your help to keep it going because we're getting tough now. We gotta keep.
Yeah, please donate. Because the show is being aired in all the counties. We have to pay for that. So please donate.
We want any amount will help us to get it going. And
thank you, guys.
You got any guests too? You feel that you reach out any guests you want to invite them, let them come. Looking for guests, bring them. Let us talk about our country. It's important, especially the issue about our fire, the issue about the drugs, issue about this case. People got to come forward with it. Like today, I heard I want to find out still. I'm still trying to find out that at Freedom FM today, I heard that people went there. A guy was there from EPS. And the show was here on live, and then they were trying to go arrest him, but then while on the show, the EPS board just said that he's not aware, he just arrived in the country, he will find out about that. And then I also heard the chief of staff to the president, the minister of state. I heard this evening that he asked the president that he want to resign because he's being on a lot of attack. I think those Amara call for his dismissal, so he to resign. I think he and Dillon, I think, if I'm mistaken.
Look at that. Amara couldn't order call for somebody.
Right now. But one thing,
the Amara Kone defense, he has the right to do that. That's his.
But one thing, I can't remember. One thing somebody said.
Moral ground.
The person said. The person said, look.
We can discuss that, but he has the right to that. He's a sitting senator. He has the right to call for.
I agree, but listen, when they are doing the wrong thing. Great, I will not call him. Amara read his post and they said, Amara, you could have shown the same. The person in prison is good.
Yeah.
You have seen the same vigor, enthusiasm, and adherence to the rule of law. When Robert Salih bankrupted the car,
right.
Umar Salih's office went unaudited for years while he robbed business.
Why didn't he open his mouth?
I was drawing a line of saying,
right.
Although he didn't open his mouth at that time, but now he's opening his mouth. It's a good thing. We want to know.
You don't pick and choose what you advocate for. You don't pick and choose what you advocate for, Grace.
I'm not saying what he did. I'm not saying what he didn't do. He didn't do that time. It was wrong that he didn't do it. But it doesn't stop him from doing it now. So now y'all can cut after him because he didn't do it. But right now that he's doing it, we applaud him for doing it. That's my point.
That's
Yeah,
Grace
point for
standing.
doing
He's
it.
only doing it to be noticed, Grace. Like American and other people should not be discussing people like Clarence Moneybag, Alexander Cummings, and other permanent Liberian. The likes of American needs should not be mentioned if we want to move Liberia forward. This man is purposely doing this thing with the intention of running 2029. Take my word for it. You can't right back here and say Lofa said it.
Yeah,
American
but
is doing all of this purposely
I,
because he's doing the
Lofa,
grandstanding.
I understand what you're saying. You got a point, but what I'm saying, thank God he's doing it for that reason that I bring forward decide. But right now, the information you're giving, all we need is information, and we
I
will
agree.
use that information. Yes, we need the information.
I agree. For me, I don't want no selective justice, nothing on the count, right?
Yeah.
But look, whenever you see an issue come about, try to investigate the issue about what happened in the past government, so that when it brings to all, you come. Yeah, Zell. Peabody have the Zell, but Sophia Blambo, you contact me or Peabody about the Zell, but I think he got the Zell information. Yeah.
Yeah, but you need to put a Zelle in the cash app here because people testing me too, they want to donate.
That's true. So,
all right, guys, man, we gotta get.
Guys, we'll see you Friday. Hopefully, we'll get somebody special on Friday. But let us continue to support our platform and to all those who
thank you, guys.
Birthday today. Happy birthday.
They ask again, what are y'all guys Zelle? They're asking for Zelle.
Well, he doesn't have the Zelle information with him right now. That's why he's saying Dr. Peabody has it, but it's not here. Yeah, all we have now is Cash App.
Yeah, Peabody got his information, but
right, Dr. Peabody is the one who actually has it.
So Grace, I want you to really investigate that Lucas case because a lot of conflicting story on that case. You got to find.
Yeah, I'm going after the Lucas. Yeah. Even the missionary organization here in the Pennsylvania area, they are not satisfied with the outcome. You know that one thing I like about the Caucasian people, they can be fair when something is fair. But if like bring people justice system deny their own people of justice, the people cannot do anything. And people talk about the advocacy group. Sometimes the advocacy group step aside because we are being used, and then when we go and run after these cases, the victims, they compromise the cases. The Lofa Julius and myself were in a ring in New York. I think I know that what year. Advocating in the ring, right in front of United Nations.
Wait, I said, so I get one case. What is happening with Peabody Bene again? Somebody Peabody at the F. I saw some video about Peabody. What's that again?
They killed one girl yesterday.
No, the body came with the plane. Something. What I was saying at the airport.
One man died in the flight. His mother friend poisoned him in the food. The last food they gave him before he got on the flight to come to America, and he died on the flight. When the people went.
I saw one guy on the video talking about what he was saying. I watched that.
Let's be careful when we say poison because we are not certain as to whether that was the
cause.
That's
the news there, yeah.
That is what we said. Okay. So we're not certain whether it was poison.
Yeah, he died from poisoning. Yeah, but we don't know how true it is. So we need to look at these cases. But
I think we should emphasize on the drugs thing because I'm really concerned the drug is killing people. Why? Why those guys are fighting among themselves.
I wish my young brother Fadika, wishing God blessing because he's fighting a system that
he needs to come on this show.
Yeah, I will bring him. I will invite him, but I'm telling you the truth. He's in a tough situation in that country, though.
My cousin died from the same thing. Tomalin, you know him. We talked about it the other day when we met in Charlotte. The fight against drugs is nothing. These guys run a cartel. And this is how a lot of them came to permanent. They actually they enriched themselves at the expense of the masses. And to see a young man, Fadiga, really desiring to transform, change in Liberia. But sometimes we say these things when what goes around comes around. When his brother sat on the Spoon Network and was propagating these kind of messages, you see, this is how things happen now. The same group of people are now coming against him. And this is what we talk about. You're crying about the media, but remember your brother Alfadiga sat on this very platform called Spoon and was tarnishing people's reputation.
Yes.
He was doing these things. So here we are now. You're now being a victim of it. How courageous can other people be? Some of us will stand up and say the truth in your defense, but your brother is continuously propagating the message that he started with. This is the same man who was preaching the divisive message. He was calling other people's names, like maligning people's character because
lying on people.
Lying on people because he wanted to present himself as the propagandist. Look what's happening now. How can we fight? These are some of the things we talk about. And when we say these things, people think that, oh, young people should not go against young people. We must clean ourselves before we attempt to do anything else. And this is where it starts.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that,
when we're doing politics, we're supposed to say the truth. Let's be fair to one another. For you to be a propagandist for you people, man, and sit down and destroy people good character that they have built over the years and lie on their name. And now this is what happening. I was sympathetic to Fatika to tell you the truth, because you know when you come from this country, you're another breed. You go down there in the intent of really helping the country, and then the obstacles start to hit you from all angles because the people in the DEA, badly some of them are drug dealers themselves. So
I mean,
kind of people you
look,
become.
it's a syndicate that have been existing for years. Not only right now, it's been on for a long time. And for one person to say you want to unearth and break that syndicate, I told him last night. I said, look, brother, you have a very tough assignment, though, and I don't know whether you can do it because you need a willpower. If the lawmakers are not supporting you, the judicial system are not supporting you, forget it. You will be frustrated. You end up coming back to the States.
But he needed willpower. You also needed protection because his life is at risk.
And the president has to support him.
Yeah.
I mean, if the president is not supporting him, then how?
Let's see, but guys, let's see. But it's been a great show. We want to wish everybody a good night, and that's all do our presentation.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, man. My condolences, Tomalin.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, my condolences, Tomalin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Okay.
Ansu, bye.